got it. I had him in the wrong spot. Hey, I was checking it and I was like, something wrong.
All right, y'all. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom to the worldwide family. Y'all know how we do it, y'all. Everything decently in order. When praying and prophesying within the assembly, we turn toward Holy Jerusalem. We're not favoring any wall, mosque, or stone. We just turn toward where our help comes from. Holy Jerusalem, as mentioned in 1 Kings 8 chapter, Daniel chapter 6, verse 10, the book of Jonah. We also, within the assembly, men are to uncover their heads when praying and prophesying in the assembly, and women are to cover their heads when praying or prophesying within the assembly. 1 Corinthians 11 chapter, y'all, Numbers 30th chapter. Y'all also, we hold our hands high when we ask the Most High to look down on us, to lift us up, as recorded in 1 Timothy chapter 2, verse 8. So with that, y'all, we'll get this prayer on, y'all, and we'll get this class going. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. We'll get this opening prayer with the Most High's permission, in the name of His only beloved and begotten Son, our Lord and Savior, Yahweh Shah HaMashiach, locally known as Jesus the Christ. Long live the King! Long live the King! Reading in the book of Psalms, in the 40th chapter, and it reads, I waited patiently for the Most High, and He inclined unto me, and heard my cry. He brought me up also out of an horrible pit, out of the miry clay, and set my feet upon a rock, and established my goings. And He hath put a new song in my mouth, even praise unto our Elohim. Many shall see it, and fear, and shall trust in the Most High. Blessed is that man that maketh the Most High his trust, and respecteth not the proud, nor such as turn aside to lie. Many, O Yahweh, my Elohim, are thy wonderful works which thou hast done, and thy thoughts which are to usward, they cannot be reckoned up in order unto thee. If I would declare and speak of them, they are more than can be numbered. Sacrifice and offering thou didst not desire, mine ears hast thou opened. Burnt offering and sin offering hast thou not required. Then said I, lo, I come. In the volume of the book, that's right, it is written of me. That's right. That's right. I delight to do thy will. Yes, Lord. O my Elohim. Yes, Lord. Yea, thy law is within my heart. Yes. I have preached righteousness in the great congregation. Lo, I have not refrained my lips, O Yahweh. Thou knowest. I have not hid thy righteousness within my heart. I have declared thy faithfulness and thy salvation. That's right. I have not concealed thy loving kindness and thy truth from the great congregation. No, by no means. Withhold not thou thy tender mercies from me, O Yahweh. Let thy loving kindness and thy truth continually preserve me. Yes, right. For innumerable evils have compassed me about. Mine iniquities have taken hold upon me, so that I am not able to look up. They are more than the hairs of mine head. Therefore, my heart faileth me. Be pleased, O Yahweh, to deliver me, O Yahweh. Make haste to help me. Let them be ashamed and confounded together that seek after my soul to destroy it. Let them be driven backward and put to shame that wish me evil. Let them be desolate for a reward of their shame that say unto me, Aha! Aha! Let all those that seek thee rejoice and be glad in thee. Let the Most High be magnified. But I am poor and needy, yet the Most High thinketh upon me.
Yes, sir.
Thou art my help and my deliverer.
Yes, you are, Lord.
Make no terror. Oh, my God.
Hallelujah! Say
This
all right, Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Today's class, 5.5 days, 1 Corinthians 15 and 45. Recently, we had, I made a statement twice, and I understood from last class, where Brother Lazarus here got me correct on some understanding that I had misunderstood. So the 5.5 days was the misunderstanding. So that's what the class is about, is correcting the mistakes that I made in the 5.5 days. The 5.5 days, according to my calculations, were wrong. It is not from Adam to the end of the world. It's not that 5.5 days. The 5.5 days that I have been talking about have already passed. And we're going to show that today. So with the Nicodemus class, where we went and saw all about Christ's death and resurrection, and actually went down into hell and saw everything that happened in hell, now we're going to go to the origin of why Christ had to do this. Today we're going back to the garden with Christ and with Adam. So where we're starting at today in the first book of Adam and Eve, it starts out right with them being kicked out of the garden. So that's where we're starting today. So for the origin, we're going to go with 1 Corinthians 15 all. And then we're going to go into the first book of Adam and Eve to finish out the class. Yep, 1 Corinthians 15 all.
How we look?
Waiting on you, partner.
Good. Okay. 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 1. Moreover, brother, I declare unto you the gospel which I preached unto you, which also ye have received, and wherein ye stand, by which also ye are saved, if ye keep in memory what I preached unto you, unless you have believed in vain. For I delivered unto you first of all that which I also received, how that Christ died for our sins according to the scriptures, and that he was buried, and that he rose again the third day according to scriptures, and that he was seen of Cephas, then of the 12. After that, he was seen of above 500 brethren at once, of whom the greater part remain unto this present, but some are fallen asleep. After that, he was seen of James, then of all the apostles. And last of all, he was seen of me also, as of one born out of due time.
What he means by there, him being the last one seen by him, seen of him also being born out of due time. This was when Paul was on his way to the road, on the road to Damascus. And when he had that vision, that's when he was seen of Christ. Okay, read on.
For I am the least of the apostles, that am not meet to be called an apostle, because I persecuted the church of Yah. But by the grace of Yah, I am what I am. And his grace, which was bestowed upon me, was not in vain. But I labored more abundantly than they all. Yet not I, but the grace of Yah, which was with me.
You see how he didn't take that glory? He's corrected himself, so to speak, there.
Yes, sir.
Right? He said that himself about his labors, but he said it wasn't me, it was God in me.
That's right.
All right, read on.
Therefore, whether it were I or they, so we preach, and so ye believe. Now, if Hamashiach be preached that he rose from the dead, how say some among you that there is no resurrection of the dead? Right. But if there be no resurrection of the dead, then Christ is not risen. Right. And if Hamashiach be not risen, then our preaching vain. Then is our preaching vain, and your faith is also vain. Yeah, we are found false witnesses of Yah, because we have testified of Yah that he raised up Christ, whom he raised not up, if so be that the dead rise not. For if the dead rise not, then is not Christ raised? And if Christ be not raised, your faith is vain. Ye are yet in your sin. Then they also which are fallen asleep in Christ are perished. If in this life only we have hope in Christ, we are of all men most miserable.
So what he's saying here right now, in the way he's phrasing this, that if Christ didn't rise from the dead, all your hope and faith is in vain. We have nothing. We have nothing. Everything that we're doing, all the work that we're putting in, everything is that we believe is based off of this one belief. And that one belief is that he died and he rose again from the dead and he ascended into heaven. That's what our belief is. We believe that. Okay, we believe that. So like he's saying, the apostles saw him, and then I saw him also. They believe, we didn't see him, but yet we believe. That's why we're here today, is because we believe what we just read. If it didn't happen, the faith that we have right now would be in vain. What we're doing right now would be in vain. It'd be all for naught. And then there's, what else is there out there? But nothing.
Right.
But nothing. Read on.
But now is Christ risen from the dead, and become the first fruits of them that slept. For since by man came death, by man came also the resurrection of the dead. For as in Adam all died, even so in Hamashiach shall all be made alive. But every man in his own order. Christ the first fruits. Afterward, they that are Christ and his coming. Okay,
so right here what we just read was that Christ was the first fruits of them that were already dead. So what we saw was when Christ descended into hell and he conquered hell, where did he go? If you draw him back off the class, I'm sorry. That when he was in hell, he went where? He got Adam. He was the first fruits. Christ was the first fruit of Adam being dead. And read that last verse again.
Verse 21. For since by man came death, by man came also the resurrection of the dead.
So Christ was that man that came with that, brought that resurrection of the dead. He's the only man that resurrected from the dead on his own. So now that he has conquered death, he went and got Adam and all of his descendants who were faithful. We saw in that class that there were kingdoms in hell, in the grave. Well, when he went down there, he went got who? Adam and everybody else that was his, that was a believer. He left the rest. It's easier to say that way. He left the rest. He went got them. So that's where the 5.5 days, we're going to see this in detail. But that's where when we're going to see the Lord tell Adam, I'm going to bring you back then at this time. And that 5.5 days was from when Christ went back. That was the end of those days. Right. When he got Adam, not the end of the world. And that was my misunderstanding. So let's keep reading.
Verse 22. For as in Adam all died, even so in Christ shall all be made alive. But every man in his own order. Christ the first fruits.
Right.
Afterward, they that are Christ at his coming.
See, so Christ was the first fruit. And then after that, they that are Christ at his coming. He was the first fruit down there that he went and got those that were his when he came. And also this verse 22, we're going to see this in 45, that for as in Adam all died, it's because of what Adam did, brought death into the world. But it's because of Christ all can live. Okay, read on.
Then cometh the end, when he shall have delivered up the kingdom of Yah, even the Father, when he shall have put down all rule and all authority and power.
So all rule, all authority, and all power. That also goes with the rule of the world, the rule of the kingdoms, all authority of the kingdoms, and all power of the kingdoms, powers of people. We're going to see that no matter who you are today in this life, you get judged to go to the lake of fire, there's no more you. You have no more, God, I still hate you. You have no more of that in you. You will not be that person that you are, because you're going to be put down. You're not going to have no more. There's not going to be any more rebellion in you. It's only going to be, I'm sorry, for an eternity. There ain't going to be no personality that you had that made you who you was. You go to the lake of fire, that's what you're going to be. I'm sorry for an eternity. All right, read on.
Verse 25. For he must reign till he hath put all enemies under his feet.
That's right.
The last enemy that shall be destroyed is death. For he hath put all things under his feet. But when he saith all things are put under him, it is manifest that he is accepted. Which did put all things under him. Okay,
so right here it says that the last enemy that shall be destroyed is death. So we know, just like when he came, he died, he rose again, he ascended into heaven. Did he take sin out of the world? No. So then we are still sinners, right? So when he conquered hell, the grave, did he end death? No. The last thing is going to be put down is death. No more death. All right? Keep reading for me.
And when all things shall be subdued unto him, then shall the Son also himself be subject unto him that put all things under him, that Yah may be all. Okay,
so what that's saying now, Christ don't get cast to the side, is what I've always been saying. Christ had a job to do, and he did his job. Okay, and what this is saying, that now that what Christ did in this time of the kingdom, his job is retirement. He's no longer have to do what he is doing for us currently. He gets to retire, so he gets to move over, and now all the glory goes to God. All the glory goes to him. He gets to sit, the Most High gets to sit in front of his people without spot or wrinkle. Ain't no sinners out in front of him. There's no more need of thinking about sin at this time, because it's gone. So now he gets to fully be glorified, not like we trying to do in these sinful bodies. To fully glorify him, we have to be where he is. And we can't get there with this. And we're going to see where it originated at. We're going to see where this originated at. And we can't do that with this on. We cannot do what we want to do for him the way we wanted to do for him, the most righteous way we want to do it for him, because we still got this on. We still got this sin suit on. Go ahead, bro.
Did I read somewhere where it said flesh was not from him?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. We might run through that today.
No music
All right, let's keep going.
Verse 29. Else what shall they do which are baptized for the dead, if the dead rise not at all? Why are they then baptized for the dead? And why stand we in jeopardy every hour? I protest by your rejoicing which I have in Christ Jesus our Lord. I die daily.
That's right. Die daily. Read on.
If after the manner of men I have fought with beasts at Ephesus, what advantages it me if the dead rise not? Let us eat and drink, for tomorrow we die.
That's right. Tomorrow's not promised. Read on.
Be not deceived. Evil communications corrupt good manners.
That's right.
Awake to righteousness and sin not. For some have not the knowledge of Yah. I speak this to your shame. But some man will say, how are the dead raised up? And with what body do they come? Thou fool, that which thou sowest is not quickened, except it die.
He called him a fool because he didn't have understanding. All right, read on.
And that which thou sowest not that body that shall be, but bare grain. It may chance of wheat or some other grain. But Yah giveth a body as it hath pleased him, and to every seed his own body. All flesh is not the same flesh. Well, there is one kind of flesh of men, another flesh of beasts, another of fishes, and another of birds. There are also celestial bodies and bodies terrestrial. But the glory of the celestial is one, and the glory of the terrestrial is another. There is one glory of the sun, and another glory of the moon, and another glory of the stars. For one star differeth from another star in glory. So also is the resurrection of the dead. It is sown in corruption. It is raised in incorruption. It is sown in dishonor. It is raised in glory. It is sown in weakness. It is raised in power. It is sown a natural body. It is raised a spiritual body.
Y'all see the comparison here, right here, of Adam in that body that he's in, that his body has to die, but when it raises it up, it's sown in corruption, but it will raise in incorruption. It's his body that went in corruption. It's Christ's body that raised in incorruption. Okay, you see the pattern here of what Adam did first, and Christ had, it's Adam did, comma, then Christ. Because of Christ, what he did, that's why there's a comma. The first half of the sentence is Adam, you tripped. The second half is Christ making it right. Read on.
There is a natural body and there is a spiritual body. And so it is written, the first man, Adam, was made a living soul. The last Adam was made a quickening spirit.
Okay, so you see there. There it is right there. It names them. The first Adam and the second Adam. Okay? And we're going to see these two Adams talking today of the origin of what we went through with his death and resurrection, and why we saw in the depth that we went into his death and resurrection. Now we're going to today see why he had to do it. Why he had to do the things that we saw that he went through, and the sins of the world that he took upon himself. We go into the origin to see why it came to be. Read on.
Howbeit that was not first which is spiritual, but that which is natural, and afterward that which is spiritual. The first man is of the earth, earthly. The second man is the Lord from heaven. As is the earthly, such are they that are also that are earthly. And as is the heavenly, such are they also that are heavenly. And as we have borne the image of the earthly, we shall also bear the image of the heaven. Now this I say, brethren, that flesh and blood
There it is.
cannot inherit the kingdom of Yah.
That's what you asked for, bro?
Neither doth corruption inherit incorruption. Behold, I show you a mystery. We shall not all sleep, but we shall be all changed in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trump. For the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed.
Let me get Matthew 24, 29, and 30 as a second witness, please. Or if I get that first. Matthew 24.
That's like that's happening every time, amongst every time.
It's happening. Yeah. What did I say? Matthew.
24.
24, 29, and 30.
You got his head?
Yeah, I got it.
What it say?
Matthew chapter 24, verse 29. Immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened.
So right there, immediately it says, immediately after the tribulation of those days. Not in the middle, not in the beginning, but after. All tribulation has to happen first before he come back. He don't come back during, and as they say, rapture out his people to keep them from tribulation. He don't even show up until after tribulation.
That's right.
So nobody is going to be saved through this tribulation.
Right.
It's up to you to save yourself.
That's right.
It's up to you to save yourself in your belief in him by obeying his word, because he told you what's going to happen. And he told you, don't worry about it. I got it. That's right. Let's go.
For this corruptible must put on incorruption.
That's all you want?
No.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Matthew,
Matthew 24, 29 again. Immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from the heaven, and the powers of heaven shall be shaken. And then shall appear the son of the sign of man. Then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. And then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn. And they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory.
Okay, so right here, those are the stages. It says, and then after the tribulation, it says, and then shall the sign of the Son of Man, of him coming, right? And then it says, all nations shall mourn. It's still mourning. Everybody is mourning, and he ain't showed up yet. If everybody crying, why they crying? When they waiting on him to come get them, to save them from going through this. Said no. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. All the earth shall mourn. And then it says, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. Right. After it's all said and done, then he show up. So there goes your rapture. There go your rapture.
You'll know.
All right. Let's continue. Read on.
yeah,
It's on you, Daniel.
Oh, man.
Yeah, come on, quick.
Okay, verse 53.
You
For
can
this
hold it, 53.
corruptible must put on incorruption, and this mortal must put on immortality. So when this corruptible shall have put on incorruption, and this mortal shall have put on immortality, then shall be brought to pass the saying that is written, death is swallowed up in victory. O death, where is thy sting? O grave, where is thy victory? The sting of death is sin, and the strength of sin is the law. But thanks be to Yah, which giveth us the victory through our Lord Jesus Christ. Therefore, my beloved brother, be ye steadfast, unmovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord, for as much as ye know that your labor is not in vain in the Lord.
Okay, so the last thing I want to just say about that, because we're going to get right into these lost books, is that because we are sinners and still live in this sinful world, we still have to spiritually put off that corruptible man and put on an incorruptible man. We have to walk like, talk like, be like an incorruptible man. Although we cannot obtain that in this flesh, we still must strive for that in this flesh. That's about being born again.
That's right.
So when we find out who he really is and his belief that's aside from what the world says and it's what he says, then we know the difference. And when you walk according to what he says, you're taking off that incorruptible flesh and you're putting on that incorruptible flesh. What you got, bro?
This is the strength of sin is the law. Is that another way of saying without the law there would be no sin?
Right. Right. All right. We're going now into the first book of Adam and Eve in the lost books of the Bible, where we read out a lot. And we're starting at chapter 1. Y'all read through that and run too back.
Book of Adam and Eve, chapter 1. Y'all up on the board, for any of y'all that don't have the book, read along. Worldwide audience is up on the board. On the third day, Yah planted the garden in the east of the earth, on the border of the world, eastward, beyond which, towards the sun rising, one finds nothing but water, that encompasses the whole world and reaches unto the borders of heaven. And to the north of the garden, there is a sea of water, clear and pure to the taste, like unto nothing else, so that through the clearness thereof, one may look into the depths of the earth. And when a man washes himself in it, becomes clean of the cleanliness thereof, and white of its whiteness, even if he were dark. And Yah created that sea of his own good pleasure, for he knew what would come of the man he should make, so that after he had left the garden, on account of his transgression, men should be born in the earth from among whom righteous ones should die, whose souls Yah would raise at the last day, when they should return to their flesh, should bathe in the water of that sea, and all of them repent of their sins. But when Yah made Adam out of the garden, he did not place him on the border of it northward, lest he should draw near to the sea of water. And he and Eve washed themselves in it, be cleansed from their sins, forget their transgression that they had committed, and be no longer reminded of it in the thought of their punishment. Then again, as to the southern side of the garden, Yah was not pleased to let Adam dwell there, because when the wind bringeth him, because when the wind blew from the north, it would bring him. On that southern side, the delicious smell of the trees of the garden. Wherefore Yah did not put Adam there, lest he should smell the sweet smell of those trees, forget his transgression, and find consolation for what he had done. Take delight in the smell of the trees, and be not cleansed from his transgression. Again, also because Yah is merciful and of great pity, and governs all things in a way. He alone knows. He made our father Adam dwell in the western border of the garden, because on that side of the earth is very broad. And Yah commanded him to dwell there in a cave, in a rock, the cave of treasures, below the garden.
Okay. Keep reading.
Chapter 2.
Chapter 2.
Put that in a moment.
Chapter 2. But when our father Adam and Eve went out of the garden, they trod the ground on their feet.
See that? They trod the ground on their feet. It means that they didn't walk on the ground before. But because they fell, now they have to walk on the ground. We're going to see that again. But that's what that means. Now that they're out of the garden, they have to physically walk on the ground. They were off the ground. They were off the ground. All right? Okay, let's keep going. We're going to see a lot of good things. So let's keep going.
Not knowing they were treaded. And when they came to the opening of the gate of the garden, and saw the broad earth spread before them, covered with stones, large and small, and with sand, they feared and trembled, and fell on their faces from the fear that came upon them, and they were as dead.
So from coming out of the garden and the world that they saw outside, just picture Afghanistan, none but deserts and rocks. Picture Jerusalem, anything that you see over the Middle East of just barren wasteland. That's what it was outside the garden. It's like going to the zoo and then they got the tropical birdhouse with it's all birds and trees and all that in that one section. You know, it's different than the rest of the place. This is just like coming outside into a backyard that was just nothing. But that was the rest of the earth. What you got? No, they haven't been born yet where we are. Yeah. That's it. We're right at them being kicked out. Read on.
Verse 3. Because whereas they had hitherto been in the garden land, beautifully planted with all manner of trees, they now saw themselves in a strange land, which they knew not, and had never seen. And because at that time they were filled with the grace of a bright nature, and they had not hearts turned toward earthly things, therefore had Yah pity on them. And when he saw them fallen before the gate of the garden, he sent his word unto Father Adam and Eve, and raised them from their fallen state.
Go ahead.
The word you sent that Yahshua
It's capitalized. It's a capital W. Yes, that was that word. And I have to say this while we're starting here, just you all keep the one thing in mind. We're talking about a man and his rib who were without sin, something that we have never experienced. So keep in mind the man who was without sin, now in a fallen sin state. So this is not just a Adam, you tripped and you ate of that tree that you shouldn't have, and now you're a sinner and you're going to die. Let's look at the guilt. The guilt that is on this man. Go ahead.
I just
Go ahead.
inside of there are rivers where what he would do.
We're gonna see him.
Wash. And all that's what I'm amazed by. And the fact, so when the scripture says we haven't yet have any idea of what the Father has to do for us, All of that is right there.
Yeah. You're gonna see it.
But which will be on my top 10. But here's, so all of these things that they're talking about, these waters and these plants and these trees and all of these things that the Creator spoke of in the prior, this is the proof of what it said was in the.
Right, like where he said about when I was gone, that about the river, that he knew that if Adam could go up there, he would cleanse himself and forget what he did. That's what we would do. But remember, just like with Christ, see, this whole thing, what we're doing, this is a mirror. What this class is a mirror to the Nicodemus class, because just what you just brought up, what you're talking about in the garden, look what Christ did to the man who lay by the pool for 38 years. He said, I have no man to put me in the pool. You think about this, for 38 years, people stepped over him. Not nobody in 38 years took time and said, let me put this man in here so he can get healed this one time. And Christ told him, you don't need the water, get up. Okay, so you look, so you see where it started out with water. That everything we're doing is a mirror. Okay, it's Nicodemus was B, this is A. We're going back to the root. All right, go ahead. Right. Like Daniel always says, and I didn't understand it in the beginning, what he used to always say, well, he still says it, but getting back to the garden. We need to get back. The first time I heard him say that, I didn't understand it, how we go backwards in time. You know, it's going back to the root of what the Lord gave us to do and start there. That's what that means, going back to the garden. What was it that he gave us? And well, we're going to see it. Let's go. We're going to see it. Let's keep rolling.
The book of Adam and Eve, chapter 3. Let's get some understanding, y'all. Yah said to Adam, I have ordained on this earth days and years, and thou and thy seed shall dwell and walk in it. Until the days and years are fulfilled, when I shall send the word that created thee.
The word that created thee.
Capital letter.
Yes, the word that created. He said, I'm going to send him that created you. So there's that 1 John there. 1, 2, and 3. It's who created it. What nothing created that was not created by him. So just like in Psalms 51, this is the back part of it, where David said, the Lord said unto my Lord, well, this is the Lord saying to his first created, I'm going to send the one that created you.
Right.
That's going to fix this.
Right.
That's going to take care of this, what you did. Okay, keep reading.
And against which thou hast transgressed, the word that made thee come out of the garden, and that raised thee when thou wast fallen.
Okay, so here it comes right now, y'all. Read on.
Yeah, the word that will again save thee when the 5 days and a half are fulfilled. But when Adam heard these words from Yah, and of the great 5 days and a half, he did not understand the meaning of them.
So neither did I. Okay, so there it is right there. Neither did I. So just like Adam asked for understanding and got that understanding, the Lord said, you don't understand either. And he gave me that understanding right here. That opened up my understanding, showed me, brother, this was not right. Let's get to calculating again. And I told him, I went to Jennings, and math is not our best subject.
I'm good at math. I don't know what
I'm all right.
So now with my understanding, let's read on.
Verse 4.
It's going to explain it.
For Adam was thinking that there would be but 5 days and a half for him till the end of the world.
There it is. That's what I thought. Read on.
And Adam wept and prayed Yah to explain it to him. Then Yah, in his mercy for Adam, who was made after his own image and similitude, explained to him that these were 5,500 years, and how one would then come and save him and his seed. But Yah had before that made this covenant with our father Adam in the same terms, ere he came out of the garden, when he was by the tree whereof Eve took the fruit and gave it him to eat.
Okay, hold up real quick. I had never thought about this before until right now when he read it. In this verse 6, he says, and God in his mercy for Adam, who was made after his own image and similitude. If you got an image and a similitude, those are two different things, right? But they're the same thing, right? It means that it's like I made a man in my image, but the similitude is similar.
Right.
And that just made me think, if you had Adam and Christ standing next to each other, did they look alike? He made them in his image and in his similitude. We also hear in his what? Likeness. So just there, right then, I thought about Christ and Adam standing talking to each other and them looking alike, like family members. Go ahead. No, he wasn't called God. No, he was a servant of God. No, the Lord told him that he would make him look like a God.
To Pharaoh.
To Pharaoh.
Yeah.
Not a God. Not a God. Because he died like a man. All right, keep reading.
Exodus 7.
Verse 8. Inasmuch as when our father Adam came out of the garden, he passed by that tree and saw how Yah had then changed the appearance of it into another form, and how it withered. And as Adam went to it, he feared, trembled, and fell down. But Yah, in his mercy, lifted him up, and then made this covenant with him. And again, when Adam was by the gate of the garden and saw the cherub with a sword of flashing fire in his hand, and the cherub grew angry and frowned at him, both Adam and Eve became afraid of him and thought he meant to put them to death. So they fell on their faces and trembled with fear. But he had pity on them and showed them mercy and turned from them. Wait a minute. And turning from them, went up to heaven and prayed unto the Most High and said,
Y'all check this out. Check this out.
Master, thou didst send me to watch at the gate of the garden with a sword of fire. But when thy servants Adam and Eve saw me, they fell on their faces and were as dead. O my Elohim, what shall we do to thy servants? Then Yah had pity on them and showed them mercy and sent his angel to keep the guard. And the word of the Most High came unto Adam and Eve and raised them up. And the Most High said to Adam, I told thee that at the end of 5 days and a half, I will send my word and save thee.
Now hold up right there. This was funny to me right here. Now what we just read, if you go back in verse 10 and you see right here, it says, and the cherub grew angry and frowned at them. Both Adam and Eve became afraid of him and thought he meant to put them to death. But when he went up to the Lord, he was like, what I do? You know what I'm saying? I was doing my job, you know, and then they fell down like they were dead. He went up and said, what happened? He said, I didn't do nothing to him. I was just doing what you told. I was going to the gate, you know, but they got scared and fell down. So he went told the Lord, what do I do? I didn't do nothing. You know, it's like one of those things. They died, but I didn't do it. You know, I was just standing there like you told me. You know? Read on.
Verse 17. Strengthen thy heart, therefore, and abide in the cave of treasures, of which I have before spoken to thee. And when Adam heard this word from Yah, he was comforted with that which Yah had told him, for he had told him how he would save him. Chapter 4.
Okay. I still don't. I still can't read Roman numeral. Can't even say Roman numbers. I'm looking at my own notes, thinking I passed it, but it's coming up. Come on.
Chapter 4. But Adam and Eve wept for having come out of the garden, their first abode. And indeed, when Adam looked at his flesh that was altered, he wept bitterly, he and Eve, over what they had done. And they walked and went gently down into the cave of treasure. And as they came to it, Adam wept over himself and said to Eve, look at this cave that is to be our prison in this world and a place of punishment. What is it compared with the garden? What is its narrowness compared with the space of the other? What is this rock by the side of those groves? What is the gloom of this cavern compared with the light of the garden? What is the overhanging ledge of rock to shelter us compared with the mercy of the Lord that overshadowed us? What is the soil of this cave compared with the garden land? This earth strewed with stones, and that planted with delicious fruit trees. And Adam said to Eve, look at thine eyes, and at mine, which afore beheld angels in heaven, praising, and they too without ceasing. But now we do not see as we did. Our eyes have become of flesh. They cannot see in like manner as they saw before. Adam said again to Eve, what is our body today compared to what it was in former days when we dwelt in the garden? After this, Adam did not like to enter the cave under the overhanging rock, nor would he have ever entered it. But he bowed to God's orders and said to himself,
now listen to what he said.
Unless I enter the cave, I shall again be a transgressor.
So he already knew. The Lord commanded him one thing and he tripped. And the Lord, there was another one, he said, go in that cave. And he didn't want to. We didn't see the Lord talking to him in this verse, right? This was between him and in this whole chapter, this was between him and Adam and Eve. So when it was all said and done, the last thing he said, if I don't do this, I will again be a transgressor.
Right.
What you got?
Kind of like the precursor to what the word said when people are cast away from weeping and gnashing. A lot of weeping.
Yeah.
It's false state.
Right. Yeah. Because there's some that's already started that when I see it again, I'm gonna say it. So I gotta wait till it come back up again. But it's what I'm gonna say. It's already started. I didn't think about it like that, but I'll tell y'all when it's ready. So let's keep going.
Chapter 5. Then Adam and Eve entered the cave and stood praying in their own tongue, unknown to us, but which they knew well. And as they prayed, Adam raised his eyes and saw the rock and the roof of the cave that covered him overhead, so that he could see neither heaven nor God's creature. So he wept and smote heavily upon his breast until he dropped and was as dead.
So right here, that's like in Deuteronomy 28 in the curses part, where the earth above you shall be brass, and the earth,
That's right.
heaven above you shall be brass, and the earth beneath you shall be iron.
That's right.
Adam was free in the garden to look all the way up through all the heavens, to see all the way through up there. But now that he is fallen and has to live in this cave, now that's his curse. Now he don't have that heaven above him no more to look all the way up through. And the ground beneath him that he now has to walk on, that he didn't have to before. So remember, y'all, the guilt in what this man is going through from being in a without sin state to becoming sin. You just imagine the weight that was on him that he didn't have from sin itself. Like gravity, the pull of gravity that keeps you on this earth, he didn't have. Now he's got that burden of just sin itself, aches and pains. Read on.
Verse 3. And Eve sat weeping, for she believed he was dead. Then she arose, spread her hands towards God, suing him for mercy and pity, and said, O God, forgive me my sin, the sin which I committed, and remembered it not against me. For I alone caused thy servant to fall from the garden into this lost estate, from light into this darkness, and from the abode of joy into this prison. O God, look upon this thy servant thus fallen, and raise him from his death, that he may weep and repent of his transgression which he committed through me. Take not away his soul this once, but let him live, that he may stand after the measures of his repentance, and do thy will as before his death.
Now, right now, here you all, I have to go on record myself as speaking as a man. I have never seen before anywhere else written what we getting ready to read. And what we getting ready to read, when we get through it, then I'll just make a statement about it. But y'all trip off what we getting ready to read. Read on.
Verse 8. But if thou do not raise him up, then, O God, take away my own soul, that I be like him, and leave me not in this dungeon, one and alone. For I cannot stand alone in this world, but with him only. For thou, O God, didst cause a slumber to come upon him, and didst take a bone from his side, and didst restore the flesh in the place of it by thy divine power. And thou didst take me, the bone, and make me a woman, right like him, with heart, reason, and speech, and in flesh like unto his own. And thou didst make me after the likeness of his countenance, by thy mercy and power. O Lord, I and he are one, and thou, O God, art our creator. Thou art he who made us both in one day. Therefore, O God, give him life, that he may be with me in this strange land, while we dwell in it on account of our transgression. But if thou wilt not give him life, then take me, even me, like him, that we both may die the same day. And Eve wept bitterly, and fell upon our father Adam from her great sorrow.
So we see that Eve admits her part, that I did this. We don't see her speak ever anywhere, and she admits. We don't hear from Eve, but she says, I did it. You know, so there's that acknowledgement that we get to see. Go ahead. I can't hear you.
She said, what is the Most High saying about her prayer?
About, he's listening to her. She gonna get what she's praying for. She's gonna get it. We gonna see it. What you got? Okay. Let's read on.
She's supposed to be by herself, though. So.
Yeah. Go ahead. I just speak up so I can hear you.
That I saw, when especially talking about Adam, Eve, about, there's another book and it talks about how the heavens are closed up.
Mhm.
But when he looked into the heavens, he was able to see that the Hebrew word for heavens is the universe. So he was able to look into the universe and he read more or less. And then
Yeah.
he was able to see.
Mhm.
He was able to look into the universe, so he saw the heavens where the angels were
Mhm.
into the universe.
Mhm.
And he could see from, and he said that he could see from the universe's impact.
Mhm.
The next thing, the next thing is that bone that Eve was taken from
Mhm.
is still a place where you can take from the man where today,
Mhm.
where you can take out and he still lives.
Mhm.
But it showed proof that that bone was even through this generation,
Mhm.
it's still there.
Okay.
Whereas-
When we get into that chapter 8, it's going to talk about how Adam was able to see a fall prior to him sinning. But like you saying, they lost all that. That's why in chapter 4 he went into comparison of what all he lost when they sinned.
Right.
And he was talking to Eve, oh, why is this, why is that, compared to what
See, that's what we're going through. We're seeing what actually happened, what he went through, all of this stuff. Like I say, at the origin of it, we hit it right from the end of them being in the garden to starting out being kicked out.
Right.
So the things that he used to have is what we're seeing. And he's saying what I used to have and what I got now.
Right. And also, let me just think about the fact that if he didn't sin, that's what we would be at. And that's what we try to get back to.
Right.
Born in the kingdom.
Exactly. Born in the king. And we
Without
had
eyes of
that
flesh.
vision as well. But now we wear contacts and glasses.
Yeah.
You'll
Right.
be able to see everything.
Everything.
Right.
Eyes will be wide open.
Right. Like
No cheaters.
you could actually see demons walking by.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Now, people that get on drugs, like lysergic acid, diethylamide, that opens that up, so they see the things that you can't see because they've opened that, but they only see the wicked side of it. They can never see up to heaven.
No more righteousness.
They only see wicked. And like I said, what he going through, what she's admitting her wrong, she admitted her wrong in Genesis 3:13.
That's right.
She said, he suckered me, and I did eat. Because he asked her, why you do it? She admitted it. This just going into detail.
Mm-hmm.
The whole questioning process.
Mhm.
Genesis 3:13 is just a quick blip that she did acknowledge her transgression. That's just going into full detail of the conversation with her at the time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So everything he reading is in Genesis. And let me say this to you right
Yeah,
Genesis
I'm looking to see
3:13.
how I missed it. Yeah, read on. I'm right there.
It's the same thing. Yeah, Genesis 3:22. That's why he had to put them out of the garden unless they eat from the tree of life and live forever in their sin. So Genesis 3 is saying everything that they're reading right now is in Genesis 3. Every subject matter that he's hitting on is there, it's just in points. Genesis 3:22, Genesis 3:24, that angel is going away so they couldn't come back in.
That's right.
That same angel that he just read about, they fell on their kneecaps.
Yes, sir.
Same thing in Genesis 3:24.
That's what it is.
Yeah, go ahead.
Where we at?
Chapter 6, verse 1. But Yahweh looked upon them, for they had killed themselves through great grief. But he would raise them and comfort them. He therefore sent his word unto them, that they should stand and be raised forthwith. And the Lord said unto Adam and Eve, you transgressed of your own free will until you came out of the garden in which I have placed you. Of your own free will have you transgressed through your desires for divinity, greatness, and an exalted state.
So this
such
is the Father.
as I had.
This is the Father talking to the children. This the Father now, he's talking to Adam and Eve as if they're his two children. And what he's saying to them is what your parents would say to you. It's like you do something bad and you get a whooping, and then the next day they still talking to you and explaining to you about why you got that whooping, trying to show you to make sure you understand what you did wrong. So he's not sugarcoating it. He's not sugarcoating it. He keeps saying, I have mercy, I have mercy, I have mercy, but he's not sugarcoating what you did. Okay? I have mercy to see you through this, but you still did something wrong. Okay? Keep.
Read on.
Thank you.
Scratching the beat.
Verse 5 again. Of your own free will have you transgressed through your desire for divinity, greatness, and exalted state, such as I have, so that I deprived you of the bright nature in which you then were. And I made you come out of the garden to this land, rough and full of trouble. If only you had not transgressed my commandment and had kept my law and had not eaten of the fruit of the tree near which I told you not to come. And there were fruit trees in the garden better than that one. But the wicked Satan, who continued not in his first estate, nor kept his faith, in whom was no good intent towards me.
So Satan didn't keep his first estate, and Adam and Eve didn't keep theirs.
That's right.
They lost their first estate. Satan can't get back in, but they can. Okay? Satan can't get back in, but they can. You ain't never seen the Lord say, I had mercy on Satan and forgave him. No, he forgave Adam and Eve and said, I got you through this, but you still tripped.
That's right.
Keep reading.
Verse 7 again. But the wicked Satan, who continued not in his first estate, nor kept his faith, in whom was no good intent towards me, and who though I had created him, yet set me at naught, and sought the Godhead, so that I hurled him down from heaven. He it is who made the tree appear pleasant in your eyes.
You see that? It said he made that tree appear pleasant in your eyes. So the Lord, we just told him, he said there were better trees than that one. The one that you ate from, there were better trees in the garden than that one. But we see here it was Satan who made that tree appear to them like that. What you got?
So that's kind of like with his MO. So the whole time we've been on the earth, we've been trying to keep us away from getting back in the garden by tempting us to sin.
Exactly. Be like me. Be like me. Read on.
He it is who made the tree appear pleasant in your eyes, until you ate of it by hearkening to him. Thus have you transgressed my commandments, and therefore have I brought upon you all these sorrows. For I am Yahweh the Creator, who, when I created my creatures, did not intend to destroy them. But after they had solely refused my anger, roused my anger, I punished them with grievous plagues until they repent. But if, on the contrary, they still continue, hardened in their transgression, they shall be under a curse forever.
Okay, so how do you come out from not being under a curse forever? You come out of that old corruptible flesh and you put on the new flesh to get out from where? Under that curse. So that means that we can live in this life without being cursed, right? If we are under a curse as a people, but we can live our lives freely. If he wouldn't allow us to do that, why would we be worshiping him? What would be, this is why he keeps coming down to Adam. I still got you, Adam. I still got you, Adam. So what is it in it for us? I still got you. You keep doing what you're supposed to do. I got you. Don't do it, and what you gonna get? You either gonna get a whooping or you gonna get none of me. He'll cast you off and be done with you. Okay, read on.
Chapter 7. When Adam and Eve heard these words from Yahweh, they wept and sobbed yet more. But they strengthened their hearts in Yahweh, because they now felt that the Elohim was to them like a father and mother. And for this very reason, they wept before him and sought mercy from him.
Mm-hmm.
Then Yahweh had pity on them and said, O Adam, I have made my covenant with thee. I will not turn from it. Neither will I let thee return to the garden until my covenant of the great 5 days and a half be fulfilled.
Okay, one thing that I wanted to say, we're gonna keep rolling through this, is that y'all, you see that the Lord has to keep coming down, talking to Adam and Eve, send the son down, talking to Adam and Eve. Who else they gonna talk to? Who else they gonna talk to?
Right.
You know, they ain't right. Right. They already talked to him. But there's nobody else for them to talk to in the sense of it's the Father and the Son. There's not an uncle or an aunt or a cousin anywhere around that they're talking. For them to communicate, there's only him to talk to. Okay, so that's why he has to keep communicating with who else is there to talk to. He has angels and messengers and things like, but who's he dealing with? Okay, keep reading.
Verse 3. Then Adam said to Yahweh, O Lord, thou didst create us and make us fit to be in the garden. And before I transgressed, thou madest all beasts come to me, that I should name them. Thy grace was then on me, and I named every one according to thy mind, and thou madest them all subject unto me. But now, O Elohim Yahweh, that I have transgressed thy commandments, all beasts will rise against me and will devour me, and Eve, thy handmaid, and will cut off our life from the face of the earth. I therefore beseech thee, O Yahweh, that since thou hast made us come out of the garden, and hast made us be in a strange land, that thou wilt not let the beast hurt us. When the Elohim heard these words from Adam, he had pity on him, and felt that he had truly said that the beast of the field would rise and devour him and Eve, because he, the Elohim, was angry with them, too, on account of their transgressions. Then Yahweh commanded the beast and the birds, and all that moves upon the earth, to come to Adam and to be familiar with him, and not to trouble him and Eve, nor yet any of the good and righteous doings, righteous among their posterity. Then the beast did obeisance to Adam, according to the commandment of Yahweh, except the serpent, against which was wrong. It did come to Adam with the beast. It did not come to Adam with the beast. Okay.
Sorry, come on. I'm sure. We getting back to that part here. Something coming up about these beasts.
Chapter 8.
Chapter 8.
We're not gonna be here long, y'all. These are short chapters, and we're gonna be out of here shortly.
We might want to stay.
Oh, hey, we can stay. We have a good old church revival. Come on.
Chapter 8. Then Adam wept and said, O Yah, when we dwelt in the garden, and our hearts were lifted up, we saw the angels that sang praises in heaven. But now we do not see as we used to do. Nay.
Here's your chapter 8, sister, of what you was talking about, the seeing up through the heavens. Right here is where we is. All right.
When we entered the cave, all creation became hidden from us. Then Yah, the Lord, said unto Adam, when thou wast under subjection to me, thou hast a bright nature within thee. And for that reason thou couldst see things afar off. But after thy transgression, thy bright nature was withdrawn from thee. And it was not left to thee to see the things afar off, but only near at hand.
Like us up here now.
Right.
After the ability of the flesh, for it is foolish. When Adam and Eve had heard these words from Yah, they went their way, praising and worshiping him with a sorrowful heart, and Yah ceased to commune with them.
How can you be happy with a sorrowful heart?
Can y'all imagine the glasses we supposed to have so we can see what we used to see? They don't even make no glasses like that.
Called telescopes. That's what they're called. Telescopes. Go ahead, bro.
They can't see that.
They can't, that ain't even compared to that.
Yes.
Because you ain't seeing no angelic beings with them telescopes. Yeah, you can't see that.
All right, y'all, let's keep going.
He gonna pull an axe, he said.
7:55.
54, 55.
We'll run to the book of Acts real quick, chapter 7, read 54 and 55. And it reads, when they heard these things, they were cut to the heart, and they gnashed on him with their teeth. But he, being full of the Holy Ghost, looked up steadfastly into heaven, and saw the glory of Yah, and Yeshua standing on the right hand of Yah, and said, behold, I see the heavens open, and the Son of Man standing on the right hand of Yah. Then they cried out with a loud voice, and stopped their ears, and ran upon him with one accord, and cast him out of the city, and stoned him. And the witnesses laid down their clothes at a young man's feet, whose name was Saul. How much of that you know?
You know, no, but that was I just wanted him to see when you're full of the Holy Spirit, the Most High have to let you see what was in the garden so you will hope to get back to that. So Stephen being stoned by the Pharisees, while they were stoning him, he looked up, he said, I see the Father and the Son standing on the right hand of him. But the key words is he was full of the Holy Ghost. He was not full of witchcraft. He was not full of Ouija boardism. And all of the devices used to try to peep into the heaven. He wasn't full of lysergic acid,
nor new wine.
So he saw clearly from the Holy Spirit, and he looked right up there, but they ended up killing him anyway.
Yeah, because it's just two more verses.
Yeah, go on.
59, verse 59 says, and they stoned Stephen, calling upon Yah, and saying, Master Yahweh Shah, receive my spirit. And he kneeled down and cried with a loud voice, Master, lay not this sin to their charge. And when he had said this, he fell asleep.
All right, let's keep rolling.
Chapter 8. I mean 9?
Yeah, 9. 1X.
1:8. Then Adam and Eve came out of the cave of treasure and drew near to the garden gate. And there they stood to look at it, and wept for having come away from it. And Adam and Eve went from before the gate of the garden to the southern side of it, and found there the water that watered the garden, from the root of the tree of life, and that parted itself from thence into 4 rivers over the earth. Then they came and drew near to that water, and looked at it, and saw that it was the water that came forth from under the root of the tree of life in the garden. And Adam wept and wailed and smote his breath for being severed from the garden, and said to Eve, why hast thou brought upon me, upon thyself, and upon our seed, so many of these plagues and punishments? And Eve said unto him, what is it that thou hast seen to weep, and to speak to me in this wise? And he said to Eve, seest thou not this water that was with us in the garden, that watered the trees of the garden, and flowed out thence? And we, when we were in the garden, did not care about it. But since we came to this strange land, we love it, and turned it to use for our body. But when Eve heard these words from him, she wept And from the soreness of their weeping, they fell into the water, into that water, and would have put an end to themselves in it, so as never again to return and behold the creation. But when they looked upon the work of creation, they felt they must put an end to themselves.
So they thought that it would be better if they were dead and gone than to be outside of the garden. From what they had to where they are now, they'd rather be dead. They'd rather be dead to live in the state, this sinful state now. It wasn't worth it no more.
Right.
From, like I said, these were the ones that experienced what it was to not be a sinner, to not have ever sinned until they sinned, and they're trying to get back over this into the garden, and they're outside and they can't, and they're just standing out there like this.
But look how far we come. We try to preserve this flesh.
Yeah.
We want this flesh to live
To
forever.
live forever.
It ain't.
To live forever. To live for, you said that right, brother. You said that right. Want this flesh to live forever. Like they say, everybody want to go to heaven, but nobody want to die. But you want to
It
stay.
can't work that
You
way.
want to stay here. Instead of preparing yourself for the place you're supposed to be going, you rather stay here. Read on.
Chapter 10. Then Yah, merciful and gracious, looked upon them thus lying in the water, and nigh unto death, and sent an angel, who brought them out of the water, and laid them on the seashore as dead. Then the angel went up to Yah, was welcome, and said, O Yah, thy creatures have breathed their last. Then Yah sent his word unto Adam and Eve, who raised them from their death.
So you see, the angel went up and Christ came down. The messenger went up and said, your creature's dead. Junior, go on down there.
Do your thing.
Look at all this resurrection of
Go
life.
on down there. Go on down there and holler at him again.
Keep bringing them back.
Okay?
Take the jumper cable.
So every time, so
So
we see here that they are committing suicide.
Right.
Literally, they are committing suicide. They are killing themselves. In Christ, go get them.
And every time they kill themselves, he come down and
Come back up.
Yep.
Get 'em.
What?
It ain't over yet.
What? What you gonna see? Wait till this week gonna see. Let's keep reading. Let's see how this turn out. Right. Same thing. Just like today, how many people kill themselves? They say, hey, I'll just go be with God right now.
No, you ain't.
I'll just forget all this. I'm going through problems. I'll just go be with Jesus right now. Wrong answer. Let's read.
Verse 4. And Adam said, after he was raised, O Yah, while we were in the garden, we did not require or care for this water. But since we came to this land, we cannot do without it. Then Yah said to Adam, while thou wast under my command and wast a bright angel, thou knewest not this water. But after that thou hast transgressed my commandment. Thou canst not do without water, wherein to wash thy body and make it grow. For it is now like that of beast, and is in want of water.
Okay, so real quick here, because you let them keep going. They are basically children with no understanding of how to live now in this world. So they have to be instructed on it. Adam said it when we was in the garden, we didn't care nothing about this water. And Christ said the same thing when you was in the garden, it didn't matter.
Right.
But now that you outside the garden, you need it to live. You need it to live. Read on. You say what you say?
Verse 7. When Adam and Eve heard these words from Yah, they wept a bitter cry. And Adam entreated Yah to let him return into the garden.
Please, please.
and look at it a second time.
Look at it.
But Yah said unto Adam, I have made thee a promise.
Remember that.
When that promise is fulfilled, I will bring thee back into the garden, thee and thy righteous seed. And Yah ceased to commune with Adam.
So it's not that Adam don't believe the Lord. Okay? It's not that he don't believe the Lord in the 5.5 days. It's the simple fact, this is today. This is today, and I'm outside the garden, and I won't back in. He said, I promised you, 5.5 days you can, but not now. So it's not like he don't believe him, he just want it back now.
Yes, sir.
I won't back in, even if it's through the back door, if I could dig under the gate. Like a dog, exactly, like a dog getting out the yard. If I dig in the gate and get under there myself, just let me back in.
Right.
I can't wait these 5.5 days. I believe you in these 5.5 days. I understand when they're gonna be, but I want them now.
Right.
I want them now, Lord. I want back in. And Lord,
Promise I won't do it no more.
no.
No, yeah.
Yeah, I know you ain't. That's good. Let's read.
Y'all know as a parent, it gets frustrating. You
Yeah.
put your child in punishment, and every 5 minutes they come and begging to get off.
That's it. That's it. Right.
Right.
There you go. He said, Adam, don't let me make it 6 days. I gave you 5.5, don't let it be 6. Exactly. Like the father. Exactly. Like the father to the child. That's right. That's right. That's right. That's what I'm saying. Even though I have mercy and grace on you, Adam, and if you all think about it, technically we can see that Adam is saved. He's telling him, I'm gonna bring you back. He said, I'm gonna bring you back and I'm gonna put you. Right. Christ didn't go down there and get him out of hell for nothing. If he wasn't good, he'd have left him. If he wasn't good, he would have left him down there.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Same way your parents do when they whoop you and rubbing that whooping salve on you. I only do this because I love you.
It hurt me more than
And then they get right. It hurt me more than it hurt you, and you like, I don't understand it, but it does. And they'll let you know if you do it again, I'm gonna whoop you again.
Yep. 2 whoopings. Read on. Where we at?
chapter 11 and verse 1. Then Adam and Eve felt themselves burning with a thirst and heat and sorrow. And Adam said to Eve, we shall not drink of this water, even if we were to die. O Eve, when this water comes into our inner parts, it will increase our punishment, and that our children that shall come after us. Both Adam and Eve then withdrew from the water and drank none of it at all, but came and entered the cave of treasures. But when in it, Adam could not see Eve. He only heard the noise she made. Neither could she see Adam, but heard the noise he made. Then Adam wept in deep affliction and smote upon his breast. And he arose and said to Eve, where art thou? And she said unto him, lo, I am standing in this darkness.
Y'all pay attention to this darkness. Y'all just remember, right now they're in the cave and they're in darkness. Okay?
Verse
But
7.
they go out of the cave too, right? They go out of the cave and then they come back in the cave and it's darkness. There's a difference. Every time they say cave, it's darkness. So if they're not in the cave and it's not dark. Now, keep reading.
Verse 7. He then said to her, remember the bright nature in which we lived while we abode in the garden. O Eve, remember the glory that rested on us in the garden. O Eve, remember the trees that overshadowed us in the garden while we moved among them. O Eve, remember that while we were in the garden, we knew neither night nor day. Think of the tree of life, from below which flowed the water, and that shed luster over us. Remember, O Eve, the garden land, and the brightness thereof. Think of that garden in which was no darkness, while we dwelt therein. Whereas no sooner did we come into this cave of treasures than darkness compassed us round about, until we can no longer see each other, and all the pleasure of this life has come to an end. That's powerful, boy.
It gets deeper.
Boy, to have your light taken away.
Chapter 12. Then Adam smote upon his breast, he and Eve, and they mourned the whole night until dawn drew near. And they sighed over the length of the night in Ma'azia.
Good enough.
And Adam beat himself and threw himself on the ground in the cave from bitter grief and because of the darkness, and lay there as dead.
Was he Kenny from South Park or something?
Verse 3. But Eve heard the noise he made in falling upon the earth, and she felt about for him with her hands, and found him like a corpse. Then she was afraid, speechless, and remained by him. But the merciful Lord looked on the death of Adam.
Now, how many? We wasn't keeping track. Okay, we wasn't keeping track. So there's another one. So if I remember, like 8 or 9 times, something like that. Okay, but if I'd have thought about it, we would have tallied. So let's keep going. He did again.
There's more than 3.
There's more than 3.
Yeah.
We on more than 3.
But the merciful Lord looked on the death of Adam, and on Eve's silence from fear of the darkness. And the word of God came unto Adam and raised him from his death, and opened Eve's mouth that she might speak. Then Adam arose in the cave and said, O God, wherefore has light departed from us, and darkness come over us? Wherefore dost thou leave us in this long darkness? Why wilt thou plague us thus? And this darkness, O Lord, where was it ere it came upon us? It is such that we cannot see each other. For so long as we were in the garden, we neither saw nor even knew the darkness is. What darkness is. I was not hidden from Eve, neither was she hidden from me, until now that she cannot see me, and no darkness came upon us to separate us from each other.
So we see here that there was no such thing as darkness. Right? There's no such thing as darkness. But what do we love today? Just that. Darkness. There was none. But that's what we love now. Darkness. And not light. Read on.
But she and I were both in one bright light. I saw her and she saw me. Yet now since we came into this cave, darkness has come upon us and parted us asunder, so that I do not see her and she does not see me. O Lord, wilt thou then plague us with this darkness? Then when God, who is merciful and full of pity,
Verse 13.
Chapter
14.
14.
14, 13, 13.
It's 13.
Yes.
I'm missing a letter. Read on.
Then when God, who is merciful and full of pity, heard Adam's voice, he said unto him, O Adam, So long as the good angel was obedient to me, a bright light rested on him and on his host. But when he transgressed my commandment, I deprived him of that bright nature, and he became dark. And when he was in the heavens, in the realms of light, he knew not of darkness, but he transgressed. And I made him fall from heaven upon the earth. And it was this darkness that came upon him.
So who's he talking about right here? Okay. So now look, he's saying he was once in light, and now he's in darkness. Now read on.
And on thee, O Adam, while in my garden and obedient to me, did that bright light rest also. But when I heard of thy transgression, I deprived thee of that bright light. Yet of my mercy I did not turn thee into darkness.
So he didn't do to Adam what he did to Satan. They both tripped. Okay? They both tripped, but he said, I ain't do to you what's happening to him. I have mercy on you. Read on.
But I made thee thy body of flesh, over which I spread this skin, in order that it may bear cold and heat. If I had let my wrath fall heavily upon thee, I should have destroyed thee. And had I turned thee into darkness, it would have been as if I killed thee.
So you see how he said that? I spread this skin over you that we didn't have. We didn't have this. But once we fell, it was spread over us to withstand cold and heat. He's first. Go ahead.
I'm just going to ask you, can we withstand cold and heat with black skin?
He spread us all over the face of the earth. What's yours? He did. No, he's still in that earth eternal realm.
But
Still go up.
but his ticket is punched.
Right.
He know where his end
He
is.
blasphemed the Holy Spirit. So he has no part. Adam didn't blaspheme the Holy Spirit. They transgressed his commandment, but they repented. Satan still ain't repented to this day. He never said, I'm sorry. And I ain't gonna say it. He say your chance better hit the Powerball 6 times in 1 week before he say, I'm sorry. Well,
Give instruction from the back.
Like true, the light, because y'all remember Genesis 1:1, there was no sun in the moon. God was only created on the 4th day. So what's the light between 1 and day 4? So just like Isaiah 60, Revelation 21, it speaks about there's no need for the sun or the moon in the kingdom. That's for us in this natural flesh. That's why we feel heat and cold, because we're under artificial lighting, the sun and the moon. Before that, we were under supernatural light. That it never got, we never had to worry about that. That's why they couldn't see, because they didn't know how to light a candle in it. Because it's darkness now. That's why they said when the dawn will come, when the light will come back. So now they're under a 24-hour clock.
Right.
Whereas in the garden, it was everlasting, so there's no need for you to wear a watch, because there ain't no time in everlasting life. Where you got to be at 2 p.m., there ain't no such thing called 2 p.m. It's eternity.
So he made the night and the day. You mean to tell me the God even he didn't get night time?
We're gonna see that. Your question that you just asked, it's coming up. It's coming up.
Yeah, it's going to go right into that.
All right, let's keep going.
Verse 9.
Where you at? Chapter what?
Chapter 13, verse 9.
Verse 9.
Read on.
But in my mercy, I have made thee as thou art. When thou didst transgress my commandment, O Adam, I drove thee from the garden, and made thee come forth into this land, and commanded thee to dwell in this cave. And darkness came upon thee, as it did upon him who transgressed my commandment. Thus, O Adam, has this night deceived thee? It is not to last forever, but is only of 12 hours. When it is over, daylight will return.
Okay, so we see now 12 hours. We see a division between darkness and daylight, right?
Yes, sir.
So Adam's not understanding this yet. So the Lord's explaining it to him. Now, because you in this state, this is what darkness is, and it only lasts 12 hours, and it'll be daylight again. Okay? What's your question? Right. It's all this is there's still no such thing as time right now, except for right now where he's telling them because he's out of the garden. Now it's time. And like I say, they have to be instructed on everything like children. It's like you can't take two brand new newborns and set them in a house and say this is their house and leave them.
Right. You
got to do everything for them.
Right.
So they don't know nothing. And now the Lord has to tell them, this is what's happening here now. Because you did this, always reminded them, because you did this, now this how this works, this how this works, this how your skin works. This is what darkness is. This is what daylight is. They didn't know none of this stuff. And that's all they said. It was just, who was the tree of life? Okay. You keep reading, because it's right where your question is. You asked, we in that. What's your question?
Like what you said about having BB talk, like two children. There's a movie out on Netflix called Field Love, something like that, if I pronounce it right. And there's a 2-year-old girl that's in the house raising herself because her mother died and her father is nowhere to be found. So the whole movie is about this 2-year-old girl just in the house, like the iron.
And nobody knows.
Fails, the eyes are on. She kind of burned herself. She go up to her mom, I think you feel.
Yeah.
You know, it's just a trip.
Yeah. I heard of stuff like that happening though, for real too. Yeah. Okay. Read on.
Verse 11. Sigh not, therefore neither be moved, and say not in thy heart that this darkness long and drags on worrying. And say not in thy heart that I plague thee with it. Strengthen thy heart, and be not afraid. This darkness is not a punishment. But, O Adam, I have made the day, and have placed the sun in it to give light, in order that thou and thy children should do your work. For I knew thou shouldest sin and transgress.
So we hear, so y'all heard what he just said there. The Lord said, so we see it. We knew he knew, but we seen it. We knew that the Lord did not know what was going to happen in the garden with Adam and Eve before he created them. But he's telling them right here, I knew you was going to trip. That's why Daniel always said the Lord always has a plan B.
Yes, sir.
Always has a plan B. So, read that again.
Verse 13.
Yes, sir.
For I knew thou shouldest sin and transgress, and come out into this land.
So you see why he didn't want him up in that northern part of the garden where he could have washed away all of his transgressions and forget what he did? I don't want you nowhere around there. I knew you was going to trip in the first place, and I don't want you to go over there and get back like you was, because you're going to forget what you did, and it's all going to be hunky-dory again. Wrong answer. So keep reading.
Yet would I not force thee, nor be heard upon thee, nor shut up, nor doom thee through thy fall, nor through thy coming out from light into darkness, nor yet through thy coming from the garden into this land. For I made thee of the light, and I will to bring out children of light from thee, and light unto thee.
That was his will. I made you in light. And I wanted you to have children of light that came from thee. This was not plan A to go wrong. This was the plan for you, Adam, being created in light and having children of light. Keep reading.
But thou didst not keep one day my commandment.
One day.
One day. So you see why he said that if you go up there and cleanse yourself, you forget what you did. You couldn't even stay obedient for one day. One day. Read on.
But thou didst not keep one day my commandment, until I had finished the creation and blessed everything in it.
So if he's talking about the creation, we know what that day is. Not a single day. It was his day. But what is there still added to? Whose time was Adam in? It still work out the same way. You couldn't do it one day. That's like us in our day. Adam in the Lord's day. You couldn't keep my commandment for one of my days. One day.
One day.
And look at us. Every day.
What?
Every day.
Every hour.
Yeah. All throughout. Keep reading.
You're right. Let me interject this in there. You throw this second Ezra in the Apocrypha, chapter 3, and I'll read 5 through 7. 5 through 7? Yeah. And it reads, and gavest a body unto Adam without soul, which was the workmanship of thine hand, and didst breathe into him the breath of life, and he was made living before thee, and thou leddest him into paradise, which thy right hand had planted before ever the earth came forward. And unto him thou gavest commandment to love thy neighbor, to love thy way, which he transgressed, and immediately thou appointest death in him and in his generations, of whom came nations, tribes, people, and kindreds out of number. So they go along with what you were just saying.
What chapter and verse?
Second Ezra 3, 5 through 7. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Again, you see that say he sinned immediately.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way the devil works, though, y'all. The devil don't wait around for you to get armed up. He comes immediately. Like he came at the Messiah and
Right.
in Matthew 4 and 4, he came immediately
After he had,
fast.
After that fast, he showed right up. Okay,
Catch you when you're weak.
where we at?
Verse 16. Then I commanded thee concerning the tree, that thou eat not thereof. Yet I knew that Satan, who deceived himself, would also deceive thee.
So Satan deceived himself. So y'all remember in the Nicodemus class when the prince of hell was talking to Satan, you thought that he was weak and feared death? When the prince of hell was checking Satan, you deceived yourself, Satan, twice. You deceived yourself into getting yourself into trouble that you in, and you deceived yourself by thinking that our Lord and Savior was soft. So that's why the prince of hell told Satan to beat it. Because he's here now, you got to go. So keep reading.
Verse 17. So I made known to thee by means of the tree, not to come near him. And I told thee not to eat of the fruit thereof, nor to taste of it, nor yet to sit under it, nor to yield to it.
So don't even sit under it for some shade.
Don't even yield to it.
Don't do nothing with it. Nothing. It's like don't pass by it. Don't look at it. Right. But everything he told him not to do, that's what he did.
Right.
Read on. Demons. I'm not skilled in Satan's army, you know, to be able to break it down to who's who. But it's either they call him, it's either a title of Satan's or it's attributed to one of his demons. That's all I know about it. It's either another name for Satan or it's the name of one of his chief demons.
Yes, sir.
Verse 18. Had I not been and spoken to thee, O Adam, concerning the tree,
Mm-hmm.
and had I left thee without a commandment,
Here it is. That's what the Lord say. Read on. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but
Yes, it is. Verse 18 again.
sorry.
had I not been and spoken to thee, O Adam, concerning the tree, and had I left thee without a commandment, and thou hast sinned, it would have been an offense on my part,
See?
for not having given thee any order. Thou was turned around and blamed me for it.
Okay, so what did happen though? When the Lord said, if I didn't give you a commandment and you tripped, you would have said, hey, you didn't tell me.
Right.
It ain't my fault. So now you gotta fix it.
Right.
Okay? No. He say, I gave you this commandment to do, so you couldn't say I didn't tell you. Like we say to our parents, no one told me.
Right.
You know, but the point is, when blame came, what did they do? Pass the buck. Went to right. He went to see. So when they did trip, who they blamed? Adam blamed Eve. Eve blamed Satan.
Ain't my fault.
They all like this. I ain't do it.
My fault.
Right.
Well, who else is there? Who was he talking to? And he said, if I'd have left you to your own devices, you would have tripped.
Right.
And it wouldn't have been your fault.
Right.
But that's what the word commandment means. He commanded them not to do that.
That's right.
So you can't tell me, Lord, so what does that mean, y'all? It's with what? Without excuse.
That's right.
It's without excuse. And what did he tell them? Y'all did this on your own will. When he started chastising them in the beginning, yes, my son, but you, all the way down the line. Never let him forget it. And what Adam want? Still back in the garden.
Right.
Then, Lord, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Lord. No, 5.5 days.
Yeah. Punishment said, ain't it?
5.5 days. That's right. When your parents tell you grounded for 2 weeks, you got the right parents. Them 2 calendars, them 14 days
Yeah.
that you know you're not getting no early parole if you got the right parents. Okay? So this is the same thing, Adam. No early parole. 5.5. He said I made a covenant with you, Adam. I told you when I'm coming back and getting you.
That's right.
But he never said stop asking. You know what I'm saying? You're not getting on his nerve about it. He just keeps saying, I told you. He had a pop like mine. I told you.
And you know, brother,
That was it.
That verse 16 is very important because a lot of people teach that the Most High created evil.
Right.
Like he created Satan to be evil, but that says he deceived himself.
He's deceived himself. He deceived himself.
Ezekiel 28:12, it said, pride
Right.
within thee. That lifted you up. So there's nothing that fooled Satan, or there was no entity or evil spirit that he created. So, okay, now this is an evil spirit. I'm going to use this against transgressors, or I'm going to make them sin. There was nothing that made Satan sin but within, and that's pride.
Right. And the way the Lord is teaching Adam about his transgression, he said Satan did it. You did what he did. You did, but unlike him, Adam, I'm having mercy on you. You ain't no different than what he did because you disobeyed me on your own free will.
Yes, sir.
Both of you. I always used to think years ago, like even in the carnal back days of when we thought it was an actual apple. And you see the movie and you see Eve go, here, Adam, That's what they show us in the movies. But with that mindset, I used to say, no, Eve. What would have happened if Adam didn't? We can't speculate on it, but it's the fact, it's just that carnal thought of what if Adam said, no, the Lord said don't do that. She would have been in trouble.
You also see
So, but
they
flesh, right? They the same flesh. So would he kick Eve out of the garden? Then she'd have been there at the bars? And Adam in there, nah, you got kicked out. You know what I'm saying? Or all men would have been without sin and women would have been the only sinners?
You were strong in your weakest link.
That's the whole thing. They was in it together. Because when Adam died, Eve said, I'm dying too. And he said he came down and what? Raised both of them up. Eve said, don't leave me alone in this world, in this darkness, by myself. He all I got. If I can't have him, I'm up. Every time. I'm not going to be without him. Because he said he came down one time and raised up Adam and comforted Eve. Because she was laying there on his dead body. Let's read on.
Verse 19. But I commanded thee and warned thee, and thou didst fall, so that my creature cannot blame me. But the blame rests on them alone.
On them alone. There is nobody else. So just like Judgment Day, it's on you alone. You alone.
So can't nobody say that.
Can't nobody
The devil
say.
made me do it.
Can't nobody say. Nathan, that one didn't work. They said that in the garden. They said that in the garden. The devil made me do it. That didn't work, and it ain't gonna work then.
Some pastor told me it ain't gonna work.
Nothing. You by yourself. You by yourself. So just like in the class we did with the brother said that God showed him the judgment day. Every day you go to bed, you should be asking yourself, do I have it right? Your last prayer should be, your evening prayer should be to the Lord, do I have it right? Can I go to sleep with this, Lord? I know you got me in my sleep, but do I have it right to lay down? That if you don't let me rise, do I have it right? If I don't wake up, you know you're gonna know where you're at immediately. And there's a lot of people woke up to the wrong side and didn't get a chance to go back and say, do I have it right? You had it wrong. Okay? Huh? Yep. See, so see how the blame got passed around. It got passed around. That's why I say Eve spoke up and said it out of her own mouth where she tripped at. Before then, you see that they was passing the blame. The woman you gave me, it was the devil made me do it. And the devil said, I'm doing what I do. You know, so let's keep reading.
Verse 20.
We're going to see the devil. All right? We're going to see the devil.
And, O Adam, I have made the day for thee and for thy children after thee, for them to work and toil therein. And I have made the night for them to rest in it from their work, and for the beasts of the field to go forth by night and seek their food. But little of darkness now remains, O Adam, and daylight will soon appear.
So we see that the Lord made the day and night there, he said, for what? For us to be able to do what? Work.
That's right.
So it's supposed to be a night shift.
This is what we listen land our can't. It's right. This is right. It's not supposed to be. No, it is not supposed to be.
Right.
It's not supposed to be.
It throws your clock off.
When I worked at Procter & Gamble, we worked a rotating
Throw your
shift.
body off. It don't know how to adjust.
When they say that, you know, people who work nights or rotating shifts, that takes 7 years off of your life.
I'm about to say, yeah.
Because you never can get yourself in sync.
Right.
Never. As you know, I've said this before. I've always felt that, like, you know, I've talked to Daniel about this. We start Sabbath classes in the morning. You know, we get up already all week long to go to work. Can we just get up Saturday morning, come on into class? just like we normally do. We all get up, let's come on and have class, because we up. We're up.
Chances of hitting
Just it.
Powerball.
It's just up.
6 times in a week before that happens.
All right, where we at?
Chapter 24.
24.
I mean, 14. My bad.
You longer than the class. We'd have missed the prayer.
Chapter 14. Then Adam said unto Yahweh, O Lord, take thou my soul, and let me not see this gloom anymore, or remove me to some place where there is no darkness. But Yahweh the Lord said to Adam, verily I say unto thee, this darkness will pass from thee. Every day I have determined for thee, until the fulfillment of my covenant, when I will save thee and bring thee back again into the garden, into the abode of light thou longest for, wherein is no darkness. I will bring thee to it in the kingdom of heaven. Again said Yahweh unto Adam, all this misery that thou hast been made to take upon thee because of thy transgression will not free thee from the hand of Satan, and will not save thee. But I will, when I shall come down from heaven, and shall become flesh of thy seed, and take upon me the infirmity from which thou sufferest. Then the darkness that came upon thee in this cave shall come upon me in the grave, when I am in the flesh of thy seed. And I, who am without years, shall be subject to the reckoning of the years, of times, of months, and of days, and shall be reckoned as one with the Son of Men in order to save thee. And Yahweh ceased to commune with Adam.
So this verse, look, y'all, check it out. Now this verse 4 through 6, what we just read, that's the basis of the whole class. What Christ came down and said Adam, he said to him, what you have done, I got to do. But I got to undo what you did. Because he said, I'm ancient of days. I got to now be subjected to times. I don't have that flesh you got on, but I got to be born into it. And I have to feel all of what you did and what you're going through right now. I have to come and become a man and take that on in the flesh of this man. Like the man that you are now, what you done did, that what made you who you are now, I have to become. Boy, I almost said something. You doggone right is love. You doggone right is love. And what it's like you have a child that's a criminal, and you tell your son, I'll sit in that cell for you, and you be free. You sitting on death row, and you tell your child, I'll take your place. I'll let you out and live your life that you done messed up. I'm gonna let you have what you got left of it, but I'm gonna give mine up now for you, for the rest of mine. I'm gonna sit in this cell. I'm gonna sit in this cell 23 hours a day till I die. For you. For you. So you see how he walked them through that? How he explained it to them? Everything that you done did, Adam, and what you have, we was alike, Adam. We were alike. We were both without sin. We both didn't touch the ground. We were both in the garden that he created. And now the creator now has to become like the creature in whom he created. And what did it call him? The first fruits of him. Who? Those who died. The first fruits. So every single thing. So this is where the first Adam, the 1 Corinthians 15, verse 45.
That's right.
First Adam was this, and this is the very first Adam. Right? Now look at it now. In 1 Corinthians, it's called the first Adam was this and the second Adam was that. But now we're looking at the first Adam talking to the second Adam. So I see how the script done flip. Now you got the first Adam, who in this one says the second Adam. This ain't who came first, the chicken or the egg. It was the Messiah who created the first Adam. And they call him the second Adam, but truly he was the first Adam because he created Adam. And now it's his creation that he's talking to. Now what you have become, I have to. The rapist, the criminal, the thief, the fornicator, the adulterer, the baby killer, everything that there is now because of you, Adam, I have to become. Because I got to take all that. I got to fill up the measure. He was the empty vessel, and what Adam did, he had to pour into him and take that measure. All of it. For you, Adam. For you, Adam. For what you did. And he just like the Most High never let David forget what he did to Uriah, Bathsheba's husband, throughout the scriptures. And that's just what we see here. The Most High checked Adam and said, you did what you did, and you're not going to forget it. He done told him I'm going to save you in 5.5 days, but he ain't letting him forget it now. So yeah, Adam, stand out at the gate and look in where you once were, where you want to get back to. But Adam had something we didn't. He was inside. He been where we trying to get to.
That's right.
He's been where we trying to get to. And what did we just read? It's all up to you. The Lord said, y'all did this on y'all own. So it was your choice. And it's your choice.
You want to, bro, a lot of people will give their feelings and say, well, if he knew we were going to see him, why he didn't stop him?
It's a free will. Free will. Free will. It's free will. It's free will. It's free will. It's free will to go in there and rob a bank, ain't it?
Yeah.
It's free will, or you say, I got to do this.
Long,
Hebrew Shabbat Shalom. All right, let's.
Chapter 15.
That question.
Well, really it came to me that the Most High was like a man. When I think about his relationship with us, I think about how a man relationship is to a woman.
We the bride.
He shows us his goodness, that he wants to choose. No man wants to go to a woman who don't want him.
Right.
He wants you to choose him. Really.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? When a woman's into you, they call it choosing secret. You send out secret. You know, when we really into the Most High, we do stuff that show him that we into him.
That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. It's called obedience.
Right.
It's called obedience. And it's because you want to. It's because you want to. Go ahead, sister.
There's something like when people reveal, he said there's certain things that something in the body, you made me think about hormones. When the woman automatically goes wild. But isn't that somewhat of what the Father does for us? He sends, he tells us with his word, this is my love. Like he said, his love goes out there, if you will, and expresses those hormones that draws us in. And says, if you will.
Right. Because that what you just said is he that hath an ear, let him hear.
Right.
His word is out there.
Right.
Like those pheromones you talking about, his word is out there. But if you got a stopped up nose, you ain't gonna smell it.
Joe ain't.
You ain't gonna smell it. So his word is out there and you hear it. And you hear it, there he is. That's what he that had the ear, let him hear it. Right. Read on.
Chapter 15. Then Adam and Eve wept and sorrowed by reason of Yahweh's word to them, that they should not return to the garden until the fulfillment of the days decreed upon them. But mostly because Yahweh had told them that he should suffer for their salvation.
You see that chapter there?
Yep, that's two.
2 and 2.
Yeah, it's on you.
You know what?
Two chapters.
And what's funny? When I read this, I was like, I wonder if I can get Zeb, get it in order that he would chest me that.
You knew I was gonna take it right out.
I knew when I was studying this. I said, this Zeb chapter right here. Read on.
It's 16. After this, Adam and Eve ceased not to stand in the cave, praying and weeping until the morning dawned upon them. And when they saw the light return to them, they restrained from fear and strengthened their hearts. Then Adam began to come out of the cave. And when he came to the mouth of it and stood and turned his face towards the east and saw the sun rise in glowing rays, he felt the heat thereof on his body. He was afraid of it and thought in his heart that this flame came forth to plague him. He wept then and smote upon his breast and fell upon the earth on his face and made his request, saying,
Y'all know why he doing this? It's gonna answer it, but I'm asking y'all now, right now, do y'all know why he's doing this? Huh? Right? Right? But there's an answer. We're gonna see it. Let's read it.
O Lord, plague me not, neither consume me, nor yet take away my life from the earth. For he thought the sun was Yah. Insomuch as while he was in the garden and heard the voice of Yah and the sound he made in the garden and feared him, Adam never saw the brilliant light of the sun, neither did the flaming heat thereof touch his body.
So now you know. He saw the sun, he thought it was God. He had never seen the sun before. That's what it is. That's why he was afraid. He'd never seen a bright light. But remember when I told y'all to pay attention to the darkness here? And I said, hope y'all remember this darkness. I said, there's darkness now, and then there's daylight, and there's darkness. And Adam didn't understand that. And the Lord said, it's going to be 12 hours of this darkness. And it's going to be 12 hours of light. But when he told them that was then. But this is the first time. So now we see that the sun has been created. Because there was no need for one when they were in the garden, right? Christ was the light of the world.
That's right.
So now that Adam fell from grace, they needed an artificial light. That one that governs the day and a lesser light that governs the night.
That's right.
Right? So Adam had never seen the sun. So this was his first time. The sun hadn't been created yet. We know it was on the 4th day that when the sun was created. The Lord told Adam, you ain't made it a whole day before you fell. Okay? So now that Adam is now for the first time seeing the sun itself. Roll.
Verse 8. Therefore was he afraid of the sun when flaming rays of it reached him. He thought Yah meant to plague him therewith all the days he had decreed for him. But Adam also said in his thoughts, as Yah did not plague us with darkness, behold, he has caused his sun to rise and to plague us with burning heat. But while he was thus thinking in his heart, the word of Yah came unto him and said, O Adam, rise and stand up. This sun is not God, but it has been created to give light by day, of which I spake unto thee in the cave, saying that the dawn would break forth and there would be light by day. But I am Yah, who comforted thee in the night, and Yah ceased to commune with Adam.
So everything has to be explained. Everything still has, it's just like you with your children and you buy a game, you got to read the instructions to teach them how to play the game. You got to explain it to them. You got to explain everything. You potty train children. right? You teach them how to eat. As they grow, they learn how to hold their own bottles. And as they grow up, you see their changes in them from being an infant to a toddler. They're growing, right? Think of Adam and Eve as two infants, not knowing nothing, and having to be explained to everything now because they didn't have to explain everything before. Let's read on.
Chapter 17. Then Adam and Eve came out at the mouth of the cave and went toward the garden. But as they drew near to it before the western gate, from which Satan came when he deceived Adam and Eve, they found the serpent that became Satan coming at the gate, and sorrowfully licking the dust and wriggling on his breast on the ground by reason of the curse that fell upon it from Yah. And whereas aforetime the serpent was the most exalted of all beasts.
The most exalted. Now, he was cast down. So try to imagine what he was before he was cast down and changed it to this form. The Lord cursed him in Genesis 3, where he says, on your belly you shall go and you shall eat the dust all the days of your life. We put him in this position right here then at this time. He was cast down, but before, just like Satan was, Lucifer, when he was called Lucifer, before that iniquity was found in him, he was what?
That's right, cherub.
He was one of the greatest, best looking angels, the best singing angels, the best decked out angels and all that. But he was cast down into this hideous form in which he is now. But we see here that the serpent itself was the most beautiful of all God's creatures, animal-wise, that he created. And he changed it into this form. So let's read.
Verse 3. And whereas aforetime the serpent was the most exalted of all beasts, now was changed to become slippery, and the meanest of them all. And it crept on its breast, and went on its belly. And whereas it was the fairest of all beasts, it had been changed, and was become the ugliest of them all. And instead of feeding on the best food, now it turned to eat the dust. Instead of dwelling as before in the best places, now it lived in the dust. And whereas it had been the most beautiful of all beasts, of all which stood dumb at its beauty, it was now abhorred of them. And again, whereas it dwelt in one beautiful abode, to which all other animals came from elsewhere, and where it drank, they drank also of the same. Now, after it had become venomous by reasons of Yah's curse, all beasts fled from its abode, and would not drink of the water it drank, but fled from it.
Okay, real quick, down in this verse 5, I wanted to say something here, but about it says that, and now whereas it had been the most beautiful of all beasts, all of which stood dumb at its beauty, it was now abhorred of them. I just want to give y'all a quick example of that. Like if y'all ever remember in the Westerns, and they would show a cowboy riding, all of a sudden his horse would go rear up and throw him, and they say it's a rattlesnake. That's the example. That's the example. That horse abhorring that rattlesnake that makes him do that. They avoid it. Now in this next chapter, I got another one.
You got a quick question on mine. One of the Hebrews said, wasn't Satan a cherubim?
Yeah. Said that a little while ago.
Yeah.
You hit a little bit of Ezekiel 28 and 12. So anybody, just so they get that understanding.
Okay.
You know. And that way, and then back that up with Revelation 21 and 2. So that you don't think that this is talking about a physical snake.
Said Revelations 21 and 2?
1 and 2. Is that it?
Check.
You said Ezekiel 28.
12. Start there, yeah.
Ezekiel chapter 28, verse 12. Son of man, take up a lamentation upon the king of Tyrus, and say unto him, Thus says the Lord Yahweh, thou sealest up the sun, full of wisdom and perfect in beauty.
So a lot of people say the king of Tyre, the Most High, ain't never spoke to the king of Tyre, because the only place you really seeing him is related to Solomon. This is talking about beforehand, and you're going to see that he's not exalted. The king of Tyre ain't never been exalted like this. And then it's going to point to a place to let you know he's only talking about the king of Tyre. Like Satan said, told the Messiah, I give you all these kingdoms. They belong to me. So he's the king of this earth, so to speak, of earthly kingdoms. So in like manner, when it's talking about the king of Tyre, he's talking about the king of who's ruling planet Earth at that time. Like he knows what Satan's seat is. Like you look at Donald Trump from that perspective, that he's working for the king of America, where Satan's seat is, because it's where the power of whole earth is. This is being driven by him. He's just like the Most High keeps sending the word. He keeps sending his servants the same way.
Right.
Because he's the king of America, so to speak. Go ahead, read some more.
And verse 13 gonna clear it all up on who he is. Thou hast been in Eden, the garden of Yahweh. In Eden,
You're right.
the garden of Yahweh. Every precious stone was thy covering. The sardis, topaz, and the diamond, the beryl, the onyx, and the jasper, the sapphire, the emerald, and the carbuncle, the gold, and the workmanship of thy tabrets and of thy pipes was prepared in thee in the day that thou was created. Thou art the anointed cherubim that covereth, and I have set thee so. Thou was upon the holy mountain of Yahweh. Thou hast walked up and down in the midst of the stones of fire. Thou was perfect in thy ways from the day that thou was created, till iniquity was found in thee. By the multitude of thy merchandise, they have filled the midst of thee with violence, and thou hast sinned. Therefore, I will cast thee as profane out of the mountain of Yahweh, and will destroy thee, O covering cherub, from the midst of the stones of fire.
See, so the stones of fire is on heaven. That's what Enoch saw when he went up there. So he was thrown from there. But the king of Tyre that you talk about, that was with around Solomon's time, never wore a breastplate. So he was never a high priest. Satan was a high priest. He said his pipes in him. That's why he's always leading the choir. That's why when you watch that show Lucifer, and he's in Luxor, and like ancient Egypt was like a club back then, he's leading, he's playing all the music, just like that show Lucifer. They show it right to you because it has to be without excuse. Yeah, hit that Revelation.
I got it.
Go ahead, bro.
Revelations 20, verse 1 and 2. And I saw an angel come down from heaven, having the key of the bottomless pit and a great chain in his hand. And he laid hold on the dragon.
On the who?
The dragon. That old serpent.
That old what?
That old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years.
And so y'all see too Isaiah 60 and 64 and 5, you see that when the Most High come back and Christ come back in the second coming, say, then shall the dust be the serpent's meat.
Right.
But that punishment ain't happened to him yet. His punishment happened at the second coming. And the dust is just individuals who followed him.
Right, and putting them in that state.
Ground to dust, because serpents don't eat dust.
Right.
They taste dust to see where their food is at. And they know it's close by. And that's a man who knows about serpents because he raised it.
Wait till the next chapter.
So y'all, it's not talking about a literal snake. It's just talking about somebody who's been brought low, who was this high.
Had a new clutch of eggs yesterday.
Something you know is lower than a footprint. So his belly go against the ground. In the sense that what he does to you, he does underhanded things that he'll kill a baby. So he don't care nothing about a baby dying. He went out to Moses, didn't he? He went out to the Messiah, didn't he? So he's a low down, dirty dog. He's a snake. It's what he called the Pharisees, didn't he?
Yeah.
He was. Same thing, y'all. And he called their fathers who? The devil, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
He said, "You're doing the work of your father, the devil."
Mm-hmm.
Not literally that Satan had children, but
Your father,
work
that's
that you're
right,
doing,
right.
that's your father, not Abraham. If Abraham your father, you can keep in the commandments. But you got commandments of me.
Right. So like a child of God, same thing, child of the devil. As a matter of fact, from last Nicodemus class, I just learned to call them like you see them. The children of Caiaphas and Ananias. Those are them are the ones who swore. We saw when Satan called them his children, but then they said, we gonna put this curse on our children and our children's children.
Didn't they say it?
Yeah. So Satan called them his old people, the Jews.
Right.
He said, I stirred up my people, the Jews. And then them people said, this curse be upon us and our children and our children's children. That's that same lineage. So that's why I say these people out here are their children, the children of Annas and Caiaphas. The ones that put that curse, we're seeing that generational curse still be, and those were their fathers, who was their father? If you're doing and believing in Christ, this stuff won't be happening out here. Why is it that everybody died was the perfect person? If everybody was just where they are described when they're killed, we wouldn't have no sin. We wouldn't have no sin. Everybody give a shirt off his back, filled the homeless, took care of the children, all that, and he died.
Shoot 'em up, Willie ain't never hurt nobody.
That's right.
Yeah.
Shoot 'em up. So let's finish this up, y'all. We only got a few more chapters and we are done.
Just like on their Independence Day, 13 people got shot. For their independence, I
Yeah,
guess?
they're independent.
Yeah, it was 13 people shot on the 4th of July.
That was just a way to get a drive-by without being caught.
Right. Yep.
All the fireworks popping, they ain't gonna know the difference.
Right.
So that's what the hood has been doing lately on the 4th of July. Just
Murder contract day.
Contract day.
Yeah.
Oh, some of it, you done shot weapons, you know the difference between
You know the difference.
that and a shotgun shell or a 9 going off. You know the difference. Like, wait a minute,
My wife be looking at me, what was that? That's fireworks.
That was a 15-round clip. I know the difference. I
We,
done threw a pack of 25 and packs of Black Cat firecrackers.
not recently.
No, that ain't a 9 is different from that.
I'm sure. Yeah, they climbed it.
We in verse chapter 18.
Chapter 18 and verse 1. When the accursed serpent saw Adam and Eve, it swelled its head.
What type of serpent you all that you know swells its head? Okay. Now let's keep reading.
Stood on its tail,
Okay.
and with eyes blood red, did as if it would kill them.
Okay. Now there are two types of snakes that can stand up like that. One of them is a black mamba. And the thing about a black mamba, which Kobe Bryant, I realize, call himself, is that not only is it very deadly poisonous, but it can stand up and be able to grab onto a low-hanging tree branch and climb up into the tree from nothing. So it can stand up like that, right? But now the king cobra itself can stand up. It's 18 feet. It's the longest poisonous snake in the world on the planet, okay? By it being 18 feet long, it can stand up and look a man in its eye, okay? Eye to eye. I saw, you know, y'all know I watch a lot of animal shows,
Yeah,
but I saw King Cobra. I saw King Cobra on a path, and an Indian elephant was walking on that path. They were coming together. The snake rose up at that elephant, and the elephant stopped dead in its track with one foot in the air and thought about it.
Yeah.
Okay? So now he's standing there with one foot, like, do I proceed further with this king cobra in front of me? You know what the elephant did? He backed up. So now we see the power of this snake that swells his head. It can stand up and look a man in his eye. Now, I'm only speculating off of what this description is right here. But when we get to the last verse, I'm pretty sure I got it right. Okay? By saying that this is a king cobra. By its description. I wasn't there. So only with my knowledge that I believe that this truly was a king cobra. Because they're only found in one place. In the wild. It's the last verse. Let's read it.
Verse 2. It made straight for Eve and ran after her, while Adam, standing by, wept because he had no stick in his hand wherewith to smite the serpent, and knew not how to put it to death.
So why do you think the serpent went after Eve?
We can listen.
It's not only just the weak.
He gonna fall.
But look at the blame. Adam blamed Eve. Eve blamed Satan. Satan got in trouble too. So who do you go back to? You went right back to the one who got you in trouble, that you got in trouble. Just like he didn't come for Adam in the first place. He never came to Adam and said, what did God tell you?
Absolutely.
He came to Eve. So now, once it's punishment time, when Satan is loose again, he go right back to Eve. Now he mad at her. Now he mad at her. See, before it was, what's up, good?
Yeah.
Now he mad at her. And Adam standing there weak. I don't have nothing.
I see it, bro.
What's up, girl? Now it's like, what's up, girl?
Right.
You told on me?
So that's the whole thing. Now that they're back, they done been punished. They're out the garden.
Right.
And Adam is worried. We read earlier. He said, all the beasts that you brought to me, that I named, now they're going to come and kill me. So the Lord had to reassure Adam of that. He had to let beasts, y'all come here, check it in. All y'all line up in front of Adam and tell them y'all ain't going to do nothing to him. That's why Adam had to get that assurance, because now he's out there. He's on his own. And look at the beasts that there are. We know what a lion and a tiger is. Now he don't have that control over them no more.
Right.
Now he's scared. So the Lord said, okay, I got you on that too. So he brought all the animals before Adam. And said, no, Adam, we ain't gonna mess with you. You ain't gonna rule over us no more like you did, but we ain't gonna mess with you.
Right.
Right? Now let's keep reading. See this.
Verse 3. But with a heart burning for Eve, Adam approached the serpent and held it by the tail, when it turned towards him and said unto him.
See, now look, y'all seen Steve Irwin. Y'all seen these people out here catch these snakes, right? Y'all see that area over there that they have because that snake is that big, right? And what do? They grab it by the tail and they pull back on it. And what does the snake do? It turns now back to who's got it by the tail. And you see a king cobra run on the ground and raise up like that, coming right at you, and you holding it by the tail. This is Adam.
Pythons will do that too.
Exactly. And pythons are bigger than king cobras. Remember, the king cobra, though, is 18 feet long. Yeah. The thing's about this big around. Okay? They're bigger than that. Okay? So now, let's keep reading to see this.
Verse 4. O Adam, because of thee and of Eve, I am slippery, and go upon my belly. Then, by reason of its great strength, it threw down Adam and Eve and pressed upon them.
So now he's wrapping them up. Now check this out. He's that big. He's got Adam and Eve wrapped up because he's mad. He's blaming Eve for now him. So it's not like he got in trouble and went away. Now he's bully. Now he's the bully. Now he's after them. He's blaming them for the state he's in. So it's just like the Prince of Hell told Satan then, you messed with Christ. Did you really think about what you was doing when you did this? It was enough that you got kicked out of heaven, but then now you want to start throwing rocks at their windows because now you outside and you just want to constantly mess with them, be it on the outside back into somewhere you can never get again. So not only was it that the Most High had punished him, now he mad at Adam and Eve. And you see that this snake that he is big enough, he's got both of them wrapped up. Y'all seen them wrap up antelopes. So you know they're that big. You see them wrap up crocodiles and swallow. They're that big, but you see he's got both of them wrapped up. Okay, read on.
It threw down Adam and Eve and pressed upon them as if it would kill them. But Yah sent an angel who threw the serpent away from them and raised them up. Then the word of Yah came to the serpent and said unto it, in the first instance, I made thee glib and made thee to go upon thy belly.
He said, the first instance, I did this to you. This is what I did to you the first time. After this, I did this to you. Now let's see what's going to happen. Read.
But I did not deprive thee of speech. Now, however, be thou dumb and speak no more, thou and thy race, because thy race, because thy race, because in the first place has the ruin of my creatures happened through thee, and now thou wishest to kill them. When the serpent was struck dumb and spake no more, and a wind came to blow from heaven by command of Yah that carried away the serpent from Adam and Eve, threw it on the seashore, and it landed in India.
So, where do king cobras come from? Where are they only? India.
And we're all snake charmers.
It's India. And that's where the Lord from the garden, where the garden was, so the wind blew and blew the serpent over to India. And you see those people today, who do they worship?
Oh, they worship all kinds of gods.
And who's the main one? The snake one.
They got about 1,000.
They got several heads on them. They all come with 7, 8 heads on one body, but that's who their God is of this land where this snake ended up. Is who they worship. But y'all see that the snake that swelled his head comes from India. So that's why I say I might have it right that it is a king cobra. All right, let's finish this off, y'all. We're almost done.
No.
I got more than a couple.
Give him no idea.
He got them where they need to be.
Right where they need to be. Look, y'all went over there one day.
See my new snake eggs? These were laid yesterday.
He said, oh, he got out yesterday. I said, God, I work my feet shot up in the air. I was sitting on the couch. I said, where he at? He said, oh, he may be up in the ceiling somewhere. He'll come down. I was terrified. I burned out.
You should hear what he said, what he can't say on camera.
Right.
About the seat cushions.
Boy, I don't like Mr. No Show. Nothing's supposed to move themselves.
Mr. No Show. All right, y'all.
Chapter 19.
19. We're at 19. We ended 22. So we're almost done.
Verse 1. But Adam and Eve wept before Yah, and Adam said unto him, O master, when I was in the cave, I said this to thee, my Lord, that the beast of the field will rise and devour me, and cut off my life from the earth. Then Adam, by reason of what had befallen him, smote upon his breast, and fell upon the earth like a corpse again. Then came to him the word of Yah again, who raised him and said unto him, O Adam, not again. No, oh, Adam, not one of these beasts will be able to hurt thee. Because when I made the beast and other moving things come to thee in the cave, I did not let the serpent come with them, lest it should rise against you, make you tremble, and the fear of it should fall into your heart.
So he knew how this serpent was after them.
Right.
He knew how Satan wanted to get at Adam and Eve. And so he said, when I brought all the other animals, I didn't let the serpent come. Okay, read on.
Verse 5, for I knew that accursed one is wicked. Therefore would I not let it come near you with the other beasts. But now strengthen thy heart and fear not. I am with thee unto the end of the days I have determined on thee.
So the serpent was trying to prevent Yahshua from coming from the Lord.
Yeah.
He just, as long as he messed up the creation of what God intended it to be, that he got in there and messed it up, and that wasn't enough for him just to mess it up and make it what it is now, but he still continues. He don't want to be lonely. Right, read on. So you
laughing?
it is.
Yeah, it's like, that just lets you know he ain't been keeping up.
No, I'm just waiting. So, I'm on it. Chapter 20.
Even fleshly resurrected.
Lazarus.
It's my turn to read.
It's your turn to read.
It's my turn to read, so he's falling down and dying.
I read chapter 20. Then Adam wept and said, O God, remove us to some other place, that the serpent may not come again near us and rise against us, lest it find thy handmaid Eve alone and kill her. For its eyes are hideous and evil. But God said to Adam and Eve, henceforth fear not. I will not let it come near you. I have driven it away from you, from this mountain. Neither will I leave it in aught to hurt you. Then Adam and Eve worshiped before God and gave him thanks and praised him for having delivered them from death. Chapter 21. Then Adam and Eve went in search of the garden, and the heat beat like a flame on their faces, and they sweated from the heat and wept before the Lord.
Crying.
But the place where they wept was nigh unto a high mountain, facing the western gate of the garden. Then Adam threw himself down from the top of that mountain again.
Y'all, this is the last one. I didn't want to give it away, but sorry. That slip, that spoiler alert, y'all. I'm sorry. You read on.
Verse 4 again. Then Adam threw himself down from the top of that mountain. His face was torn and his flesh was flayed.
So y'all hear, y'all understand the terminology when you're preparing meat and you fillet it or you flay it open.
Yeah.
Well, that's saying that this was his skin. He threw himself off the top of a mountain.
Right.
And he fell all the way down like Homer Simpson, you know, to where his skin from the rocks. He was filleted open. He was filleted open. All right. Right. Fillet of Adam.
Much blood flowed from him, and he was nigh unto death. Meanwhile, Eve remained standing on the mountain, weeping over him, thus lying. And she said, I wish not to live after him, for all that he did to himself was through me.
Woo! Read through who? Say it again.
Verse 6 again. And she said, I wish not to live after him, for all that he did to himself was through me.
So when I was saying, y'all, keep in mind and think about it like this, you're Adam without sin. Now you're Adam with sin. Adam's dead again. Eve is standing there by herself. Now we're talking about grief. We're talking about pure grief.
Yes, sir.
And she's standing at the top of that mountain, looking down at her dead husband, saying, all of this, what you did was what? Through me. Through me. She looking down the mountain at her son, her husband down there dead. At the bottom of a mountain. And she said, it's because of me. So you think about that. Now, we see the grief that he's been going through. We see hers as well. She's left without him again. Widower, and she said, it's my fault. You laying down there because of me. Read on.
Verse 7. Then she threw herself after him and was torn and scotched by stones and remained lying as dead. But the merciful God, who looks upon his creatures, looked upon Adam and Eve as they lay dead, and he sent his word unto them and raised them, and said to Adam, O Adam, all this misery which thou hast wrought upon thyself will not avail against my rule.
Yo. You ain't gonna change a thing, Adam. You're not, there's no way out of this, Adam.
Right.
You're not escaping this punishment, Adam. You are not going to kill yourself and get out of what you're going through right now. I already told you when. You're going to have to learn to live your life.
That's right.
Because you cannot escape this punishment. That's when people in this life say it's too hard and they commit suicide.
Right.
They say, I'm going to go be with Jesus now.
No, you ain't.
Okay? So Adam is not saying, I'm going to go be with Jesus now. Adam is saying, I can't do this now.
Right.
I can't live in this state.
Right.
I cannot continue in this state.
Right.
And Eve is saying, I can't do it without him. So he is still trying to not get around God. He's not trying to be disobedient. He's not being impatient for this 5,500 years. It's what he's going through now. Now he is what? A mere mortal. He's a mere mortal and a sinful mortal.
And again, he's trying to preserve something. He's trying to throw down something that we preserve.
And he is trying to just, like he said, he's trying to get out of. The Lord told him, 5.5 days, Lord, I believe it. But I cannot do this.
Right.
What you got?
It's something I think it's Revelation where people are wishing they could die, but they couldn't.
Yeah, Revelations
6 and 9.
where
See, that's the flip
the
side.
men will seek death and it shall not be found.
Right.
Exactly. Excellent. Excellent.
So
That's what he's doing. He's trying to seek.
He's seeking death.
It can't be found.
He's finding it, but Christ is bringing them back. What this Revelation said in the latter days is that men will seek death and it won't be found, jump off a mountain and not die.
And what movie do they show you on TV every day, or some people's favorite that they watch every? The Walking what?
Dead. Walking Dead.
They're trying to
Precursor.
They're just walking dead. They can't. That's it for them. It don't get no better than that.
Right. Yep.
They can't.
Yep.
You
You're in
want
that
to
state.
try to die
Zombie.
and get out of it, but he ain't letting you. You ain't getting out of this. You
We're in the
walk around
last chapter, y'all.
with your goals off busted over to the white meat.
Verse 9 again, we're going to finish it out. And said to Adam, O Adam, all this misery which thou hast brought upon thyself will not avail against my rule. Neither will it alter the covenant of the 5,500 years.
Wow.
Last chapter, y'all.
Chapter 22. Then Adam said to Yahweh, I wither in the heat. I am faint from walking. I am loath of this world. And I know not when thou wilt bring me out of it to rest.
He done told you all along.
Yeah.
He told them from the beginning when we started this. But see, this is what I'm saying. This is the state in which he is in. We will never be able to experience that.
Right.
Okay. And if we make it to the kingdom, we'll be remembering what this life was like anyway. To compare it.
Right.
It'd be like the people that when the 1,000-year reign comes and they be translated. That's the difference. That won't happen to us. All we can do is imagine what it's like. And the only close we can get is watching a baby come out the womb.
And it's something very important you said there too, brother, that we couldn't imagine because it's going to just flip. As quick as he changed from supernatural
Twinkling of an eye.
You're going to flip right back to supernatural flesh the same way. I mean, it wasn't like he recreated them,
right.
He reformed them. It just, we went from immortality to mortal man. And it was just a quick blink, and they like, I don't feel my superpowers no more. I can feel heat.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And a twinkling of an eye is going to go right back there, back to that. So it ain't like you going to be somebody else that reincarnation teach. You just going back to immortality.
You know what?
Man was created for.
And now I'm thinking about what he said to put it in even a more term of when we went through the story of Samson.
Yeah.
It don't say that Samson was born strong like that, and that's how he came out the womb. It's every time Samson did something, it said the spirit of the Lord came over him and gave him that supernatural strength. So when he was done with what he was doing, that spirit left him again, and he became back that mortal man who himself is. We would have to be, the Lord would have to put a spirit on us like that to know that that was something different. We've experienced supernatural things. We know that there are supernatural things that we have witnessed in our lives with our own eyes. Right. So we know it's possible. We know it's true. We know it's real.
That's right.
But to say that when you see like 5, 6 people beating up on one person, but he handling them all.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then he left the last one standing. That's when we talking about supernatural strength.
Right.
You know, he got 5.
Say he owns something.
Exactly.
One of them.
Go ahead.
So that spirit that grew on Samson,
on you. On you.
Grew on Samson, he made him a god with a little G, right?
Yeah.
In that moment.
Well, yeah, you can say that because look at it. It was the Philistines who were the enemies of each other, right? It was Samson being one man against a whole nation. Okay, so Samson was their enemy. Look at the nation of Philistine saying Samson is our enemy, and Samson saying all y'all are my enemy. There's a big difference in that, right? But who won? Samson won.
At the end.
At the end, he won. But the fact was that when he was between them two pillars, what did he do? He prayed. He said, Lord, one more time, let me have your strength. See? So there was a difference between Samson and Samson, right?
Right, and then all of the not cut the
Go ahead,
all of the false tales, his strength was in his hair. His strength was not in his hair. It was Judges 13. His parents was told what to eat. So he could what not to drink because he's a Nazarite. It's number 6 chapter. He's going through this, so he has to be pure. We can't let you can't, don't go to the potato chip aisle. You may get some skins mixed up in there. You know, so they had to eat perfectly. But every time you see, like say when he got his last thing, it says hair started to grow back. It didn't say that's what gave him the strength. He said just give me back this just one more time to do what you asked me to do at the beginning. And I was just hard here. He was around dead bodies, and that's right, he's supposed to be doing that. He dug in a lion, and he was eating honey out of dead bodies. He married harlots. They weren't supposed to have sex.
Excuses.
You know, he was only supposed to do, according to Judges 14, marry the enemy so that he can get inside. See, that's why I say a lot of people don't understand Deuteronomy 21:10 when it says if you see one of your enemies of the captors and you like her, and you take her to wife, this is what she have to do to come into Israel. Judges 14 lay that out, and most people say, well, that can't happen nowadays if we say that the white man is our enemy. You can't do it today because we're not in control. Well, Samson wasn't in control, because as soon as you start off Judges 14, it said the Philistines had rule. So they was in control, and the law worked.
Right.
Because it said this thing was from the law.
Right.
That he married that Philistine woman. Right. Got to get you on the inside.
Yep. That's it. Yep.
So that's a permissive will that most people ain't understanding Deuteronomy 7 and 6 when it say don't mix no marriages with them. If there's a law to say this is the only way you can do that. It didn't mean never do it, because the law says if you see one of another nation and you they hit and they your enemies and you like her, this is what you gotta do: cut her hair off and cut her fingernails off, and then let her mourn her family for 30 days, and then you can take her to wife. But there's still a waiting period to see if it's gonna happen righteously. But me to jump the gun, 2 days that woman in there, they be you cut them fingernails off. I won't do that. I like the way you scratch them on my back.
Because you see how he said men jumped the gun? What the Lord tell Adam? You didn't last 1 day.
1 day?
1 day. 1 day. 1 day.
Let him hit that though, you right here. He gonna hit that
John 20.
John 20 and 20, and it backs up Genesis 2 and 7 that when he breathed on you, y'all, when he give you what the true mouth-to-mouth resuscitation, it brings you back to life, and that's what's gonna happen in the day to it, bro.
The book of John, chapter 20 and verse 20. I guess it would help if I went to 20. I'm at 21. I'm like, what is it saying there? Okay, verse 20. And when he had so said, he showed unto them his hands and his side. Then were the disciples glad when they saw the master. Then said Yahushua to them again, peace be unto you. As my Father hath sent me, even so send I you. And when he had said this, he breathed on them.
He did what?
He breathed on them and said unto them, receive ye the Holy Ghost. Whosoever sins ye remit, they are remitted unto them. And whosoever sins ye retain, they are retained.
So they became a living soul, just like in Genesis 2:7. Until he breathed into Adam, he was not a living soul because he didn't have the breath of God, right? The Holy Spirit. That's what made him come to life. And that's what leads you. That's why Saul didn't know it was going from him either. He said, my strength gone. David said, he even took his spirit. So it ain't like you can just jump up in church. You know, you go to the holler house on Sunday and think you can just jump and make it come in you. It doesn't work that way. Because as fast as it come in you and you do something supernatural
On Sunday,
and you go to do it again, it's gone. You like it's gone. So it's not a device where you get to control it when it come over you. It come over you on obedience and it leaves you through disobedience. And when you find out it done left you, you find out like Mike Tyson with Buster Duck. It's gone. You ain't fishing for your mouthpiece. 9, 10. It's over. You out. Disobedient to the fight game, hanging out with Bobby Brown.
the night before.
With women
the night before.
And know the rules about it. Can't get with women, you're gonna get weak.
Hey, what you call that
Y'all know what's happening.
All right, y'all. Let's finish this one up. About to be military.
Again.
Oh yeah, he did.
When we go to the, when we translate it to the thousand range of society, we have a different body in.
What?
The 1,000-year reign. If you're gonna live that 1 day with him, yeah, you will have a different body.
Yeah.
This one ain't gonna last.
Right.
It's flesh that's that.
Right.
Can't hold on to it at all.
All right. 22.
22 from the top. Then Adam said to Yahweh, I wither in the heat. I am faint from walking, and I am loath of this world. And I know not when thou wilt bring me out of it to rest. Then the Lord Yahweh said unto him, O Adam, it cannot be at present, not until thou hast ended thy day. Then shall I bring thee out of this wretched land. And Adam said to Yahweh, while I was in the garden, I knew neither heat nor languor, neither moving about, nor trembling, nor fear. But now, since I came to this land, all this affliction has come upon me.
Something as simple as what he said, nor moving about. He didn't have to move around. He was in the right place that he was supposed to be at. Everything was taken care of. There was no want or need of anything. This was before wants and needs. This was before wants and needs. Even to move about. We saw when we first started, it said when they came out of the garden, their feet treaded the earth. Okay, finishes off.
Then Yahweh said to Adam, so long as thou was keeping my commandments, my light and my grace rested on thee. But when thou didst transgress my commandments, sorrow and misery befell thee in this land. And Adam wept and said, O Elohim, do not cut me off for this, neither smite me with heavy plagues, nor yet repay me according to my sins. For we of our own will did transgress thy commandments, and forsook thy law, and sought to become gods like unto thee, when Satan the enemy deceived us. Then Yahweh said unto Adam, because thou hast borne fear and trembled in this land, languor and suffering, treading and walking about, going upon this mountain and dying from it, I will take all this upon myself in order to save thee.
Y'all don't be mad. Can we read one more chapter?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
24.
Oh, man, you see how that feels?
Skip 23, read 24.
I guess it's flipped back around.
28:56 really quickly, because there's something you be saying that very important that's repeated that once when you talk about walking in that, or anybody hitting 28:56, it's just the difference now of how Eve was for her husband now and not walking, but it'll explain itself. I don't want to get to it. Just real quick. 28:56. It's something very important you're saying about walking, you know, and you know, not having tread, feet not tired. You know, like strangers come out and have to always tell you rest your feet a little while. You know, because you've been walking and trudging, you know, and that's the hospitality that Abraham showed, washing the disciples, wash the strangers' feet, then the Messiah washed the disciples' feet to give them rest from that. But when you're in the garden, there's no worry that now the woman's eye is not like that. But read that really quick. You rise on back to what you were talking about.
Deuteronomy 28, verse 56. The tender and delicate woman among you, which would not adventure to set the sole of her foot upon the ground for delicateness and tenderness. Her eyes shall be evil toward the husband of her bosom, and toward her son, and toward her daughter.
So that's how low we failed. At one point, a woman was like, she was carried around. She wouldn't even have to worry about walking and doing the things that men had. Now, because of what we did, we transgressed that now her eyes evil toward her husband and her son. She, you know, I can't stand you, remind me of your dad. Just like that, ugly. Now, even toward a child, you know, and she's blaming him because he looked like his dad. So she puts on him what she want to do to him because of this. And it's telling you, your women were so delicate, they didn't even have to really worry about nothing like that.
Like y'all used to see in the movies.
Now they can in the household.
Any movies on Egypt back in the days where even the mummy, where they would show Queen, or what's her name, Cleopatra or whatever, carried around in that thing. That's what that means by in that Deuteronomy 28, what he's talking about, when he talks about it, women say that your feet were so delicate that you wouldn't even set them on the ground. That was a state. Okay, that was a state of living.
That's tender.
right?
Boy, that's tender. That was
Being,
the tender one.
being in a state of living that now you see that that's not in the blessing side of Deuteronomy.
Sure.
That's on the curse side. So now you see that now that the woman who has to set her foot that didn't have to now in the curse side, same thing with Adam and Eve.
Yeah.
When you were in the blessing, your feet were on the ground. But now that you're cursed, on the ground you shall tread.
Because she's had the head of the household now.
Right.
She's got the child. So she has the pound to pay them when her feet was delicate. You know, that's why they always have handmaids and their feet was always done. They didn't have to worry about hitting the field like that. Now it's angry.
Right.
You know, your daddy did this to me and you look just like him. I can't stand you.
This last chapter I want y'all is 7 verses. Chapter 24.
Chapter 24, 24. We skipping 23?
I said skip 23.
Oh, okay. See, I didn't catch up.
We got you.
I was about to read 23.
Yeah, you back there protesting.
Yeah.
Okay. I just figured it came back around. Oh,
Well, look, 23 has 8 verses.
we got that.
So it did 9. This 24 has 7.
Uh,
So you're doing better. You
The
still
word
doing
must
better.
go forth.
Yeah.
Chapter 24. Then the merciful Yahweh, good and lover of men, looked upon Adam and Eve and upon their blood, which they had held up as an offering unto him, without an order from him for so doing. But he wondered at them and accepted their offering. And Yahweh sent from his presence a bright fire that consumed their offering. He smelt the sweet savor of their offering and showed them mercy. Then came the word of Yahweh to Adam and said unto him, O Adam, as thou hast shed thy blood, so will I shed my own blood when I become flesh of thy seed.
So this blood shedding of Adam, when they shed their blood, they made this offering. They did this on their own.
Right.
They were not commanded to do this. The Lord did not tell them to do this. They did this on their own. Just like they sinned on their own, they did this blood offering on their own. Then you see the Messiah show up. He said, your blood that you just sacrificed back to me in this offering that you made, your blood that was shed in your offering, I got to do the same. He showed up. So this is the finish of the first Adam and the second Adam. Finishes off.
Verse 4 again. Then came the word of Yahweh to Adam and said unto him, O Adam, as thou hast shed thy blood, so will I shed my own blood when I become flesh of thy seed. And as thou didst die, O Adam, so also will I die. And as thou didst build an altar, so also will I make for thee an altar on the earth. And as thou didst offer thy blood upon it, so also will I offer my blood upon the altar on the earth. And as thou didst sue for forgiveness through that blood, so also will I make my blood forgiveness of sins and blot out transgressions in it. And now, behold, I have accepted thy offering, O Adam, but thy days of thy covenant, wherein I have bound thee, are not fulfilled.
You ain't getting past it, Adam.
Right.
you can shed all the blood you want to, Adam.
Right.
It's like being grounded. And you come home every day from school, you wash the dishes before your parents get home, and they look and see, oh, you wash the dishes. Huh?
I got an 8 on the
You still, Friday night is when I said you getting off punishment. So then the next day, so now you're not gonna wash dishes because you know your punishment is still gonna last.
Right.
You see that? Read on.
When they are fulfilled, then will I bring thee back into the garden. Now therefore, strengthen thy heart, and when sorrow comes upon thee, make me an offering, and I will be favorable to thee.
All right, so now, to sum it up, all I want to say is that what we saw in the Nicodemus class of his death and resurrection, and everything that he went through, with that, we went back to the origin and saw why he had to do it, and he was with whom he had to do it for. But to think about it the first Adam and the second Adam, they was together discussing it then.
Yes.
Christ said, I got you for what you did, Adam. I'm gonna make it right. But you still gotta spend these 5,500 years. Then I'm gonna come get you. And I'm not coming getting you.
You gotta do that time.
In 5,499 and 364 days, Adam. 5,500 years. So the point is, we saw why he had to die. And the person and the reason he had to, all that time they spent together. And he was comforting him and telling him, I got you, Adam. I got you. I got you. I got you. I'm gonna make this right. I'm gonna make this right for you, for us, and for those who believe.
That's right.
Hallelujah.
God.
Any questions or concerns out there, bro?
No, sir. We all
They said excellent lesson, brother.
Yes, sir.
All praises.
That's our brother Marcus. Excellent lesson.
Yes, sir. Also, y'all read a little bit of that Hosea chapter 10, verse 12 and 13, and Proverbs 30 and 20, and then you'll understand the eating process that took place in the garden. You know, they ate the fruit of lies. Hosea chapter 10, verse 12 and 13, Proverbs 30 and 20, and it will say, such is the way of an adulterous woman. She eateth and wipeth her mouth, and say, I have done no wickedness. So all of it's going right back to the garden. Everything is going right back to the garden. We got to fix what the problem is. We can't fix our problem from Mount Sinai. As it was in the beginning, so shall it be.
Fix it now.
Fix it. Yeah.
All right, we'll get this closed in prayer with the Most High's permission.
Yes, sir.
In the name of His only,
Yes, sir.
beloved and begotten Son, our Lord and Savior, Yahweh Shah HaMashiach. We all know him as Jesus the Christ. Long live the King.
Long live the King.
Reading in the book of Psalms, the 27th chapter, and it reads, the Most High is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear?
No one.
Yahweh is the strength of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? When the wicked, even mine enemies and my foes, came upon me to eat up my flesh, they stumbled and fell. Though an host should encamp against me, my heart shall not fear. Though war should rise against me, in this will I be confident. One thing have I desired of the Most High, that will I seek after, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord.
That's right.
All the days of my life.
That's right.
To behold the beauty of the Most High, and to inquire in His temple. For in the time of trouble, He shall hide me in His pavilion. In the secret of His tabernacle shall He hide.
That's right.
He shall set me upon a rock. And now shall mine head be lifted up above mine enemies round about me. Therefore will I offer in His tabernacle sacrifices of joy.
That's right.
I will sing, yea, I will sing praises unto the Most High.
Yeah.
Hear, O Yahweh, when I cry with my voice. Have mercy also upon me, and answer me. When thou saidest, seek ye my face, my heart said unto thee, thy face, Yahweh, will I seek.
That's right.
Hide not thy face far from me. Put not thy servant away in anger. Thou hast been my help. Leave me not, neither forsake me, O Yah of my salvation. When my father and my mother forsake me, then the master will take me up. Teach me thy way, O Yahweh, and lead me in a plain path because of mine enemy. Deliver me not over unto the will of mine enemy, for false witnesses are risen up against me,
Yes, sir.
and such as breathe out cruelty. I have fainted unless I had believed to see the goodness of the Most High in the land of the living. Wait on the Most High. Be of good courage, and he shall strengthen thine heart. Wait, I say, on the Lord.
We greatly appreciate it. And continually thanking y'all, the worldwide audience, for your offerings and support. Y'all, we greatly appreciate it. Shouts out to the Real Skinny Block and Big Truck. Hope you're feeling well, you and your household.
That's right.
Since you got work today to do, well, y'all gonna do another thing. You gotta do another thing.
Yes, sir.
Great class, bro.
Two things.
Great class, bro.
Excellent class,
Yes.
excellent class.